Welcome on in, folks. I apologize for breaking into your regular programming, but we now have our first tornado warning of the day, and this could be the first of several warnings that are issued for the East Texas viewing area. Now, the tornado warning, it goes until 3 o'clock and includes Vanzant County, and this is moving right along the Kaufman and Vanzant County line to the south of Wills Point and to the south of Interstate 20. We're going to go ahead and play this out here, and as you can see, we do have those showers and thunderstorms that continue to blossom across the area. Lots of lightning associated with these storms, and they are producing all modes of severe weather. Now, just to note on this tornado warning, we don't have a confirmed tornado. This is a radar indicated rotation, which means a tornado could form at any time. But we'll go ahead and get you to street view, and we'll show you exactly where the possible tornado is. And it's going to be just to the north of Maybank. You can see this rear notch here on the storm. A lot of us like to call it a hook echo, which it is showing that type of rotation. But as we go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity, and there you go, fairly tight rotation. You do see a lot of these bright greens in the path of the storm, and those are very strong winds going towards the Fort Worth radar site. There's Maybank, there's Highway 175, and just to the north there, that is where we do have this potential tornado. So again, this is in Kaufman County right now. Eventually, this is going to move into portions of Vanzant County, and we do cover everything that occurs in Vanzant County. There's the community of Canton in the path of this storm, and this does include Canton High School to the west of town, Canton, Texas, 250 at 257, First Monday at 257, Edgewood at 305 if it is able to sustain itself to the north of Interstate 20, Fruitvale 308, Grand Saline 313, Emory 324, Mineola would be 328, but again, that's a big if this thing were to hold together for as long as it could. So we're still seeing that radar indicated rotation. I'm not seeing any evidence that this is on the ground at this point, but that could very well change. You can see the rotation again. Very close to Maybank and just to the north of the Maybank vicinity. Lots of lightning on the northern side of this storm where all that rain is, and we've got some very heavy rain falling, but this will continue to track off to the north and to the northeast, and as it does so, it will bring with it the potential of severe weather. So let me go ahead and move this out. We're going to put another storm track on this just to reiterate what we have going on. This is the only tornado warning we have in the area. It looks like we've got another severe thunderstorm warning that is producing some mid-level rotation there. That is down in Navarro County, but that will eventually cross the Trinity River and become our issue here probably within the next 15 or 20 minutes. So keeping an eye on this storm, I would like to welcome in our KTBB viewers. If you are listening, we just had a tornado warning issued for Vanzant County. This is just going to be to the northeast of Highway 175 heading towards the Vanzant Kaufman County line. It is to the south of Interstate 20 and to the southwest of Canton. We just got another tornado warning, and this looks like it is going to include Henderson County. I've got meteorologist John Adams and meteorologist Braden Seo in the storm studio. We will have tag team coverage with me and meteorologist Braden Seo. John is going to be relaying these National Weather Service updates as they come to us, and it does look like we've got a very long afternoon. Just within the last 10 minutes, we got our first two warnings, and I do expect that we will see many more warnings succeeding the two that we have right now. But we'll get more information on that other polygon. Right now, we do have this broad rotation that has now moved into Vanzant County. And if we look at some of these county roads here, County Road 2708, County Road 2718, the possible rotation is just to the north there. We'll go ahead and put on the correlation coefficient, and what we will see is the potential for debris, and I'm not really seeing that right now. So the good news is no indication that anything has touched down at this point, but could that change? Absolutely, and we will be watching for that possible change, but as of right now, we are good. But this is a dangerous storm. You can see lots of lightning. I've got this real tight into the rotation here and look over the last few frames. The total strikes were over 100 over the last few frames, which that is a lot of lightning, and you do not want to be caught out in that electrical storm as this thing continues to move up to the north and to the northeast. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom it out again. Looks like we've got a rotation marker on that storm in Navarro County. And Braden, when you are ready, go ahead and give me an update on the tornado warning that was issued for Navarro in Henderson County.
Okay, so in central Henderson County, that's where this tornado warning is going to be, and also eastern Navarro County. And at 2:40 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Richland Chambers Reservoir, or about 13 miles southeast of Corsicana. So that's going to be right there close to Interstate 45 is where that's located, and it's going to be moving off to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So that's eventually going to put it back over towards places like Malakoff and maybe just to the west of Athens. So that is the latest on that particular tornado warning.
Okay, so right there, and I think we've got another one as we were just speaking there in Hopkins County. But we'll put a storm track on this one. Again, I'm most concerned with Henderson County. A lot of these communities are going to be in Navarro County. Eureka is an example of that. 2:47 will be the arrival time in Eureka. Cairns 2:58, Goodnight 2:59, and then Trinidad, that is going to be right along the Trinity River. That will be arriving at about 3:04 and 3:09, Malakoff 3:10. As Braden articulated, this is a tornado warning. It's a radar indicator tornado, which means it has not touched down at this point, but it could touch down at any moment. John.
Tornado warning. This one is for northeastern Hopkins County, as well as northeastern Delta and southeastern Lamar County. This goes until 3:15. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was about 10 miles northeast of Sulphur Springs. That's moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. This is radar indicated there in that does include parts of Hopkins County.
All right, so this is going to be in extreme northeastern Hopkins County. Lots of lightning associated with this storm, and the trend over the last 30 minutes or so are these things have intensified very quickly. They produce quite a bit of lightning, and then they go back to producing that rotation. But 91 strikes over the last few frames, that is something not to take too lightly, and this is going to be very close to County Road 3520. So there's your rotation. I'm going to go ahead and take the lightning off, and we'll show you exactly where it is. And you can see very tight couplet of rotation. This is not confirmed, but this is radar indicated, and it's going to be to the south of Sulphur Bluff, and it's going to be to the north of Interstate 30 in eastern Hopkins County. It's going to, it looks like it will cross the Hopkins-Franklin County line here within the next few minutes, but very tight couplet of rotation, and what we're looking for here are those bright reds on our bright greens on our storm relative velocity products. And what that is telling us is it's telling us that raindrops are moving away from the Shreveport radar site, and raindrops are moving towards the Shreveport radar site. And we've got a couple of radar sites we are using, the one in Fort Worth, the one in Shreveport. This is the one from Fort Worth. So the direction of the wind here is going this way, and then the direction of the wind is going this way, where you do see those greens on the map there. So definitely a tight couplet of rotation, and it continues to intensify as it moves up to the north and to the northeast. But in the path of this storm, it is crossing the CWA, which is the warning area, kind of like we have viewing areas in TV, but the warning area of the National Weather Service office in Fort Worth and the warning area of the National Weather Service office in Shreveport. So I'm sure in a short time we will have a downstream warning for Franklin, and then that's probably going to be Lamar and Red River counties as well. But again, very tight couplet of rotation there, and this continues to push off to the north and to the northeast. So we're going to keep a close eye on that one. As of right now, it would have to be very high in the atmosphere and something significant, but I don't think we are seeing any signs of debris. If anything is happening, it is very broad at this point, but bear with us. In the last 10 or 15 minutes, there's the downstream warning, which will include extreme northwestern Franklin County and pushing up into Red River. But At this point, we do have 3 tornado warnings that have been issued in the last 30 or so minutes, and the situation right now is very, very active. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put on
Excuse me, Carson, just want to bring a message from Fort Worth there saying there is a strong indication of a tornado in the Hopkins County storm northeast of Sulphur Springs.
Yes, and I mean that's the one we just showed, and it's got some very strong rotation. I would not be surprised if that is producing a tornado at this point. But as we look at the storm in Vanzant County right now, this is not looking like it is on the ground. We do have some very broad rotation, but what you will see these storms do is that rotation looked very strong. Looked like we had a tornado that was trying to form a little bit earlier, but it has kind of weakened as it's pushed off to the north and to the northeast. So that's one warning. If you live in Myrtle Springs, Wallace, if you live in the city limits of Canton, I know we've got several viewers there, you need to seek shelter because this is a potential tornado that is heading for you. This is very close to Interstate 20, and it's likely to move over West Canton where the high school is before crossing Interstate 20 between Dukes and then the Canton exits where the jalapeno tree is there, very close to downtown Canton and State Highway 19. But this likely misses Canton off to the west. Does not look like we have a tornado at this point, but it is a very potent thunderstorm that we have, and we will continue to monitor this as it moves up to the northeast. I want to get back to this storm in Hopkins County because this is a very intense storm. It's not radar confirmed at this point. We haven't had any confirmation from any storm spotters in the area, but with the rotation that we have right now, it is a very, very tight rotation couplet there, meaning we've got bright greens on the north side of the storm, we've got bright reds on the back side of the storm, so outflow and inflow. And the rotation, again, in extreme northeastern Hopkins County. It's going to be just to the south of Sulphur Bluff, so if you know anybody in Sulphur Bluff, give them a call. They need to be in shelter right now. And then along the Sulphur River, that does include places in Franklin County to the north of Lakeview, along the Sulphur River. That is where this possible tornado is heading towards. So up to the north and to the northeast, this is going to continue to track in that direction. It's eventually going to cross into Red River County, where the county seat is Clarksville, and it will no longer be an issue for us here in East Texas. But once again, very strong indication of rotation. I'm not really seeing a rotation or a debris signature, which would mean we would have a CC drop where you would be seeing more of these colors as opposed to these colors, where we've got a lot of different objects being lofted in the atmosphere by an intense storm or a strong storm. But to the south of Sulphur Bluff, if there is anything, that is likely where it is going to be. So from about Sulphur Bluff to the river, you need to be in your storm shelter. Eventually, I'm going to, within the next minute or two, I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Braden Seo, and he is going to look at this storm that is moving into Henderson County at this point. I'll pop up the radar. We'll pop up the lightning because we've got lots of lightning with these storms. This storm is in Navarro County, but it is heading towards the Trinity River. It will be moving into western Henderson County. So for folks in Log Cabin, Malakoff, Gun Barrel City, it is a good idea to seek shelter. So Braden, when you are ready, we will send it over to you. And what we do have is this thunderstorm. Again, lots of rain already in western Henderson County. You can tell by the reflectivity, those yellows, those reds, those oranges that are showing up on the screen right there. But we do have the rear flank of the storm that is in extreme eastern Navarro County that is going to be moving in the direction of Malakoff and Log Cabin. Athens is not included in the warning, but this does include areas to the west of Athens. So Braden, whenever you are ready, take it away.
All right, yeah, we do definitely have a lot going on right now. There's a lot of activity. We've been kind of forecasting this here for the last couple of days that we were going to have some of this. And here behind me, as you can see, that is that storm that's over there into portions near the I-45 corridor that's getting ready to go into Henderson County. Right now, it is located, as you can see here, to just the northeast of the Streetman area. around Eureka. That's where we're looking at for that rotation. Now, there's nothing confirmed on this as we're looking at some of the velocities here. Nothing confirmed yet, but definitely a lot of lightning, regardless of whether or not there's a tornado. You definitely don't want to be outdoors right now because of all the lightning that we're seeing, damaging winds, hail reported with this. So we do have a lot in the way of severe weather even without seeing a tornado. So this is going to be moving off to the northeast. Eventually, it's going to make its way into Henderson County. So that's going to include places there near Toole, Gun Barrel City, Log Cabin, Malakoff, eventually maybe even affecting areas just to the west of Athens. For now, we're okay in Athens. This tornado warning does not include the city, but areas just off to the west. It does include you there in the city of Malakoff and areas off farther to the west. So if you are traveling right now anywhere from Athens off to the west, you need to make sure that you're paying close attention to the weather because this is a rapidly evolving situation. And again, we don't really see any debris signatures right now, but that's not to say that we couldn't over some periods of time here. These can quickly get their act together. But again, we're looking at the debris detector right now, not seeing any indications of any debris. But again, we're going to continue to monitor this over the next several minutes. We'll go back to the velocity image right now. Again, this is going to move off to the northeast. And as we look at the details of this tornado warning, currently the cities involved do include, again, Malakoff, areas off farther to the northeast. This is for Henderson County and also for Navarro County. This is, again, not confirmed. This is radar indicated, and it's going to be moving farther off to the north and east. And John, if you could slide that radar image up to the next storm up, closer to areas there. Yeah, there we go. That one right there. So this is going to be near the city of Canton. The area of most concern is going to be just to the west of Canton. So we're talking Myrtle Springs. Yeah, that area right there is going to be where we are seeing the greatest indication of some rotation, the velocity couplet there. And I'll kind of give you an indication here of exactly what we're talking about. So it's going to be right there near Watkins, between Watkins and Wallace, right there. That's the greatest issue, and that's moving again off to the northeast. If we put on the reflectivity here, you can see that we are not really seeing much in the way of activity as far as hail goes. It's just some heavy rain here for now. Lots of lightning, lots of wind in this. No indication that we have a tornado on the ground, but again, look at all that lightning, heavy rain, plenty of it here across portions of Vanzant County. So if you're traveling along Interstate 20, you're heading maybe over to Dallas this evening as it's Friday, or maybe you're going back on off to the east. Anywhere in this vicinity, you want to keep a very close eye on this because there is a lot of lightning, heavy rain, again, regardless of any tornado. So again, we don't have any confirmations of tornadoes, but we certainly do have a lot of activity. Plenty of tornado warnings right now. As we look, if we keep looking at the chat here, we are continuing to see things come in. We also have, again, that tornado warning up in portions of Hopkins County. So if we can slide that radar up to the next storm up the line up there in Hopkins County, this one might actually have the strongest signature, again, of a tornado. So this one, again, no confirmations, but the signature is definitely there. And we do have that signature here. That is going to be near Sulphur Bluff. So if you live in Sulphur Bluff, this is going to be to the northeast of Sulphur Springs, in the northeastern corner of Hopkins County, and eventually that's going to move up into portions of the northern sections of our viewing area. So if you live again up in maybe Lamar County, Red River County, that's going to be moving in that general area. But for Hopkins County, it's the northeastern portion of the county. So here's Paris right here, there's Clarksville, and then as you move down there, Sulphur Springs. So this is again northeast of Sulphur Springs, getting ready to move to the northeast of Hopkins County. So right now it's in that far northeastern corner of Hopkins County, and it's going to move off to the northeast. This is a look at reflectivity. Likely we do have some very heavy rain falling as well. Some lightning is definitely associated with this storm. We continue to see lots of lightning with these storms. And if you recall, we were calm there for a period of time, and then it just took almost maybe 5 minutes for these storms to really get going. So they've quickly initiated and really gotten their act together. And that's what we've been talking about all week, is how the ingredients have all come together today for those storms to really just take advantage of it quickly. There's lots of energy in the atmosphere in terms of wind energy. We've got temperatures that are in the 80s out there. So these storms are taking advantage of that and quickly producing what is lots of lightning, heavy rain, hail, damaging winds, and yeah, even potential for some tornadoes. So that's what we're seeing right now. And if we can take maybe a wide view just to kind of recoup here and show everybody what we're seeing. So we've got a total of 3 tornado warnings here in the area. And then also that extension includes portions of northern Titus County. So this doesn't include, or excuse me, northern Franklin County. So this doesn't include the city of Mount Vernon, but to the north of Mount Vernon. So that is going to be the extreme northern portion of Franklin County and also northeastern Hopkins County with that northern tornado warning. And then farther to the south, that warning there near Canton, getting ready to cross Interstate 20, and then even farther to the south, getting ready to move into Henderson County. That's where we have yet another tornado warning. So it looks like we are in for quite a long afternoon here across East Texas. Again, tornado watches go into effect here until 9 p.m. So we've got several more hours of this to deal with. Again, for now, we aren't looking at any confirmed tornadoes, but we certainly do have some tornado warnings, and it only takes a little bit, again, for these storms to really get their act together, and we're going to continue to monitor these over the next several minutes. We're going to go back and forth between Carson and I, and John's going to help to give us updates as he sees things roll in the chat. And then, of course, if we do have any confirmation of storms, then, of course, we are going to let you know first that we do have indeed tornadoes on the ground. But we don't have any right now, and I want to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Carson Vickroy. He's going to give us more in-depth analysis of these storms. Carson?
Yes, Braden, it looks like we do have an update on that Vanzant County storm, and it continues to cycle. But the good news with this one is, John, when you are ready, deliver that message. But I do think we've got some good news with this storm.
Okay, the rotation in Vanzant County, this according to the National Weather Service in Fort Worth, has weakened. The tornado warning will be allowed to expire, and that's due to happen at 3:15, I believe.
All right, so it should expire at 3:15. That's about 15 minutes away from right now. So what they'll do is they'll watch this, because these storms, they are in a very moisture-rich, lots of wind energy, very unstable environment here. As Braden mentioned, the temperatures are in the 80s, and these storms are taking full advantage of that. When that happens, we do tend to see severe weather. And this storm, it can cycle again, so we will keep a close eye on that, at least over the next 15 minutes. But this thing continues to move up to the north and to the northeast. Now, this northern Hopkins County storm, it continues to cross the Sulphur River, and eventually it's going to move into portions of Lamar and then Red River County before making its way up towards the Red River and then McCurtain County in Oklahoma. But this is one storm. We've got a second storm that is moving through Vanzant County. It looks like it just expired, and then we've got another tornado warning that is out for western Henderson County, including areas to the west of Athens. And one thing to note, look at all of this rain here. So this rain and these storms are kind of staying in the same place in our western counties. Now, the expectation are that these storms are going to begin to form a little further off to the east, and as they do so, we will see more storms further east. But with all this heavy rain that is moving in, we could pick up 2, 3, maybe a quick 4 inches of rain just from the training of thunderstorms. And we've talked about the hail, we've talked about the winds, we've talked about the tornado threat. The flash flooding threat is a very real threat as well in our western counties. So we're keeping a close eye on that. As of right now, we've got 2 tornado warnings, one of which is moving out of Hopkins County and into Lamar and Red River counties. So some good news there, as that's moving towards the Red River, so it will no longer be our issue, but still a real tornado threat in portions of Henderson County. It looks like this storm is right along the Trinity River between Karens and Trinidad. So we'll go ahead and pause this. We're going to look for that rotation, and as we look at this, I'm not really seeing anything that's super strong, so I'm going to shoot from another radar site here. And there you go. There's lots of, looks like just shear in that general direction right along the Trinity River between Goodnight and Trinity. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on if this can produce something as it crosses over into extreme western Henderson County. But there's the community of Malakoff. If you live in Malakoff, you need to be in your storm shelter right now. Pickens, you need to be in your storm shelter. Really anybody along Highway 175 coming out of Athens, you need to be sheltered in place as this storm moves. And again, when we talk about a storm shelter, we don't have a lot of basements here in East Texas. It's an interior room like a closet, bathroom, or pantry. And the reason we say that is you don't want any windows, you don't want any exterior walls, that the only separation between you and the outside world is one exterior wall. That's not going to do you much good. But if you sheltered in place in a site-built structure, you're going to be okay as the storm moves up to the north and to the northeast. So we're keeping a close eye on this one, and John's got an update.
We have some new rotation now, they say, is increasing over Canton.
Okay.
And they're keeping an eye on it closely.
Yeah, it looks like, yes, this is right there. So you see this pulse up of lightning just to the southeast of Canton. This looks like it's crossing Highway 64. Eventually it's going to cross Interstate 20, but that is some very tight rotation. I'm going to take the lightning off because that lightning will show you what we are seeing. But just to the southeast of Canton now, that's where we do have that new rotation, and that is very tight. So there it is right there. So just to the southeast, this should miss downtown Canton just to the southeast, but it's going to miss it by maybe a mile. Go ahead, John.
They're about to issue another tornado warning for southern Hopkins County. They're seeing rotation southwest of Sulphur Springs. So we'll be seeing a tornado warning anytime coming for Hopkins County again.
Okay, so another Hopkins County storm. And folks, just in my experience here in East Texas, this is starting out the same way November 4th, 2022 started out, where we had a bunch of storms in our western counties, and they generally moved to the east throughout the course of the evening. So this is mirroring that right now. And on November 4th, about 2.5 years ago, we also had a moderate risk of severe weather, kind of like what we are seeing right now. So very concerning presentation on the radar. Again, if you live in Tyler and Longview, we don't have any active warnings, but we do have a possible tornado warning that is coming in Hopkins County, and there it goes. So John, whenever you're ready, go ahead and read off the information on this warning here.
Okay, tornado warning for Hopkins County, northeastern Rains County, northeastern Delta, and southeastern Lamar counties. This will go until 4 o'clock this afternoon. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 9 miles northeast of Emory, or about 11 miles south of Sulphur Springs. It's moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour, which would take it near Sulphur Springs here very, very shortly. Tornado with quarter-size hail. It is radar indicated rotation in that storm. So Hopkins County is under the gun again for this tornado warning.
Yeah, just to get my bearings here, so this has now moved into Hopkins County. It just exited Rains County, which is why Rains County was included in that warning. Down to the south, there's Yantis in northwestern Wood County. There's Lake Fork, and just to the northwest there near Greenview, Divide, Shirley, Bonanza, that's where that possible rotation is going to be. It's hard to see. This is very high up in the atmosphere because the radar from Fort Worth is over 100 miles away, so this is a fairly strong mid-level rotation. So what the National Weather Service is going to be looking for, and what we're going to be looking for as well, are any reports of anything that has touched down in southwestern Hopkins County. So we're keeping a close eye on this one. As of right now, it doesn't look like we have much in the way of debris that is being wafted in the air, so a little bit of good news there. But this is still a fairly intense storm, and it continues to move up to the north towards Sulphur Springs. So what I'm going to do right now is, John, if you could give me the overall speed on this storm, and we'll track it up to the northeast.
Okay. Moving northeast at 35.
All right, thank you, sir. Get that on there. There we go. So there are some of the arrival times with this storm. Shirley 3:10, that's 4 minutes away from right now. Rockdale 3:17, Martin Springs 3:18, 3:20 for Sulphur Springs. So if you live in and around the greater Sulphur Springs area, I want you seeking shelter right now, because this is a storm that has a lot of rotation in it and could form a tornado at any time. Go ahead, John.
Tornado warning for Vanzant County. Canton PD advised a tornado on the ground at 12:55 near the Whitworth community in Vanzant County. So this has been confirmed. The Canton Police Department advised a tornado on the ground at 12:55 near the Whitworth community in Vanzant County.
Okay, so near the Wentworth community. So that's going to be, I believe, to the... Yeah, Wentworth. So that's going to be just to the east of Canton, and you can kind of see it right there. There's some very strong updrafts in that storm. Let's go ahead and check out the velocity, and there it is. So just to the east of Canton, this is a tornado that is down. This is the first confirmed tornado of the day, and it looks like it's going to hit Wentworth head on. Now the good news is this is going to miss downtown Canton just off to the east, but this is a very intense storm, and it looks like we do have a tornado on the ground that's about to cross Interstate 20 and affect Wentworth there. So very intense storm, very dangerous storm to the east of Canton. And it looks like they've got the yellow polygon. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not, but we'll go ahead and track this off to the north and to the northeast, and we'll track it just to the north of Interstate 20 there. And this looks like it is going to move in the direction of Grand Saline, and then eventually it's going to move into northwestern Wood County if in fact this thing holds together. So we'll track it at about 40 because that's the general movement of the storms. And there you go. Wentworth, it's right on top of you. If you live in Lawrence Springs, I want you seeking shelter. Jones 319, Fruitvale 320, Grand Saline 321, Sand Flat 322, Silver Lake 328, Bellevue 332, and Colony at 324. There's the updated polygon. It's a red polygon, so if you live anywhere in this red area, which we call a polygon here because that's what it is, seek shelter. Now, this does not include any of Smith County, and it does not include any of Wood County yet, but I would not be surprised at all if in the future we have more warnings issued for this area. So again, this is a tornado that is down to the east of Canton and is moving towards the Grand Saline community and will eventually cross Highway 80 and then cross the Sabine River, where then it will move into either extreme southeastern Rains County or extreme western Wood County. We'll go ahead and pop up the correlation coefficient. I know we've got strong rotation in this storm, but as of right now, I'm not really seeing any evidence of any debris. It's moving over a relatively unpopulated area, but we do have lots of trees in Vanzant County, so I would not be surprised at all if this starts to show up if, in fact, this tornado is remaining on the ground. So we've got tons of areas of rotation right now. We've got several tornado warnings that are out, and this is going to get worse before it gets better, so just bear with me. John.
Some new rotation increasing over Athens. Warning might be needed. They might be issuing probably a tornado warning for Athens. It's not out yet, though.
So that's going to be a Henderson County storm. So we're keeping a close eye on this confirmed tornado to the east of Canton, and then it's going to move up into Lawrence Springs, Grand Saline, Jones, Sand Flat, all in extreme northeastern Vanzant County before it crosses the Sabine River and likely moves into southwestern Wood County. It's a very intense storm. It does look like a tornado has touched down. That's the first confirmed one of the day. But to the south now, we are waiting for yet another area of rotation, and this is getting closer and closer to eastern Henderson. What happens after that is we end up having Smith County, and that's where that's where we could start to see tornado warnings here in the not too distant future. So let me go ahead and give you a wide view of what's happening right now. We've got multiple storms that are producing all modes of severe weather. It is a situation you never want to see, but you know, we've had rapid intensification of these thunderstorms. There's 1, There's 2, there's 3 tornado warnings now, and then we've got one that's likely to form just to the southeast of Athens. So we're going to keep a close eye on that one. And we also have another supercell thunderstorm in eastern Navarro County that continues to move to the northeast. Eventually, that's going to cross the Trinity River and be an issue for us. And we've got further development further off to the west. So just because you're watching us from Tyler and Longview, you are far from out of the woods, because these storms, they're going to gradually move over to the east, and they're probably going to pack more of a punch as they do so, because the environment over Tyler and Longview is more unstable than it is in our western counties. So these storms are going to continue to strengthen as they move to the east. So again, I'm going to have Braden look at this storm that is to the east of Canton. Again, the fire department in Canton confirmed that this tornado was on the ground, and Braden's going to take a closer look at that storm. Go ahead.
Yeah, we definitely do have some pretty strong rotation there just to the east-northeast of Canton. So this is going to be moving off in a northeasterly direction. So places like Grand Saline, you are next in line for this tornado. And that polygon right there that was just issued is a confirmed tornado warning. So the tornado warning that has just been issued for Vanzant County, including Grand Saline, is stating that we have a confirmed tornado on the ground. Now, the city of Canton itself is fine. You guys are just getting some heavy rain, lots of lightning, but the tornado itself is going to be east of the city. So over again towards Grand Saline, maybe over even towards Sand Flat, Jones, Silver Lake, and then you'll start getting into Wood County after that. But for now, this is in eastern Vanzant County, again, not including the city of Canton itself, but areas just off to the east. And as we look at some of that debris detector, we'll see if we have anything. And right now, it's a little ambiguous, although we do have a little bit of dropping colors there, but still ambiguous, not enough to say for sure if we have any tornado on the ground. And also, looking at the chat here, we did have a report of some power lines down in Eureka. That's over in Navarro County. So that storm that's down there that passed through the Streetman area in Navarro County did have indeed at least some damaging winds to do some of that damage. So any of these storms, regardless of if there's a tornado or not, is going to have the potential to produce some very gusty winds. There's a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere today, and it's not going to take much to help transfer that down to the surface. And of course, this isn't the only tornado warning that we have in town today. We've got plenty of other warnings. John, if you could give us a little wide view here of some of these warnings and just kind of recuperate here in terms of what we've got going on. There is a lot of activity here as we have, as you can see here, lots of storms off to the west of the Tyler and Longview areas. We've got several tornado warnings as of this afternoon, lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, and just lots of energy here in the atmosphere for these storms to really take advantage of and kind of take off this afternoon. So for now, in Tyler, Longview, places like Jacksonville, Henderson, you guys are in the clear for now, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to see storms. We've got lots and lots of time left in this severe weather event for us to potentially get some of these storms. So the tornado watches remain in effect for all of East Texas until 9 p.m. this evening, and this activity is going to continue to slide on off to the north and east today. And we have additional storms that are developing down along the Interstate 45 corridor that's going to continue to move on off to the north and east. So here's a look at these tornado warnings that we have, including places now. It looks like Wood County just got a tornado warning, so that's going to be just north of Mineola. So if we could zoom in on that particular storm there we go. That is for the continuation of that Canton storm, and you can see there that we are dealing with quite a bit of activity here in Vanzant and now Wood County. So Grand Saline over towards places like Quitman, Mineola, you're included in that tornado warning. John, you've got an update?
Here's the specifics on the tornado warning. It also includes northwestern Smith County, central Wood County. This goes until 4:15. The severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Canton, moving northeast at 35. A tornado and quarter-size hail are indicated. It is radar-indicated rotation. Again, this storm is going to go, this warning rather, is going to go until 4:15 for northwestern Smith County, also central Wood County. It will be near Golden around 3:30 this afternoon, Lake Fork Reservoir around 3:35, and Pleasant Grove around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, John, for that. So, guys, this is just the beginning of what is going to be a very long afternoon. So, looking, of course, at this storm, as we look at the velocity picture, you can see that that's a very, very tight area of rotation there to the northeast of Canton, and that's going to continue to move on off to the northeast. So, places over here in Wood County, if you live there, Silver Lake, Mineola, up to Quitman, you definitely need to be taking this very seriously. That means lowest floor, innermost portion of a sturdy building, no windows. Make sure that you protect yourself from the outside elements. Maybe even wear a helmet if you have one. Be sure to put on shoes in case there's debris when you have to come back out. But again, very strong indication still of a tornado, and that confirmed tornado warning is still with us there for northeastern Vanzant County. So again, lots and lots of activity happening right now. This isn't the only game in town, but this is definitely the one that is most pressing as of this time. And again, we are going to have multiple storms produce the potential for tornadoes as we go through the afternoon. So you might start to hear some sirens in portions of Smith County, but again, this is going to be the far northwestern part of Smith County. This doesn't include Lindale. It doesn't include Hideaway. It doesn't include the city of Tyler. This is, again, far northwestern Smith County. So areas up near Mineola in Wood County, and then farther on off to the north. That's really where the concern is for this storm. So if you're heading up Highway 69 from Lindale up into Mineola and over towards Emory, you're going to be dealing with this storm here before too much longer, as it's racing off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So things are really continuing to be very active, and even putting the reflectivity picture on here, you can see that there is a lot of heavy rain, maybe even some hail in this storm. A confirmed tornado again for this storm in northeastern Vanzant County. This is going to move well to the northeast of Tyler. This is going to move well to the north of the city of Tyler. This is northwest even of Lindale right now. So again, you're going to have more in the way of problems over towards Wood County. John?
Looks like we're going to be getting another tornado warning coming in for Henderson County near Athens. Just to the east and northeast of Athens, we are seeing some rotation between Athens and Murchison. And this storm is going to continue with a northeastward movement about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So if you're in that area, there is a possible tornado, and this was the one that was confirmed, that was sighted, headed toward Murchison. So take shelter if you are in the Murchison vicinity.
All right, thank you, John. So again, another tornado warning issued for that storm just down the line from that storm that we are monitoring right here behind me, that's moving into now portions of Wood County. So in fact, they have just updated that tornado warning in Wood County. Now it is confirmed for that county as well. So this is definitely a very pressing situation, as the indications are all there that we do indeed have a tornado on the ground. Again, not seeing any strong indications of debris, but that's not to say that there's not a tornado, because it is confirmed. We're just a long ways away from the radar, so that's why it's not able to really pick up that debris signature, as the debris would have to be tossed well up into the atmosphere for the radar beam to be able to see it. So for now, we don't have a clear indication of any debris, but again, we do have a confirmed tornado that is with this storm. So it's going to be just south of Grand Saline, right there near Jones. So if you're between Jones and Grand Saline, now you're out of time. You need to be in your safe place now, because this is right on top of you, and it's going to continue to move on off to the northeast. So over in places like Quitman, you've got plenty of heads up here, as this is still maybe about 15 minutes away from your location. But it is in fact confirmed, and there is indeed a tornado on the ground with this storm. This is the only confirmation that we have right now in our viewing area of any tornadoes that are on the ground. But this is not the only tornado tornado warning that we have. So John, if you could slide the radar down, that cell down there near Athens that's going to be moving in the direction of places like northeastern Henderson County where we have that new tornado warning. There we go, that one right there. That is going to be here for places like Murchison over towards Brownsboro, and that is not the tightest rotation that I've ever seen, but that's not to say that we couldn't have this tighten up very quickly. That's really been the story here as we've gone through the past several minutes, is these tornadoes tend to really spin up pretty quickly. So looking at that, that is right there, a clear indication. Okay, it tightened up just a little bit there as of the latest scan. So it looks like this is going to go just to the west of the Brownsboro area. So Murchison, you are really under the gun right now. This is going to be moving right over you here in the next 5 minutes or so, and then places even farther off to the east. Edom over towards New Harmony, Redland, you are all under this tornado warning as well, including Ben Wheeler, and eventually that's going to get up into the Van area. So if this continues and this strengthens and we get a continuation of this tornado warning, then that's going to move farther on off to the northeast. And look what's downstream of that. We've got Smith County there. This is going to still, this storm in particular is still going to stay to the north of Tyler, but places like Lindale, you could be under the gun later down the road. But for now, things are not affecting any of Smith County just yet, except for the far northwestern corner of Smith County for that tornado warning. Again, this is the indication right here, the potential for a tornado near the Murchison area right now with this storm in particular. This is going to be continuing to move on off to the northeast. We don't have a confirmed tornado with this one, but John, if you could slide that radar image back up to the confirmed tornado, the next one up the line, just to give a quick update on that. It looks like it is pretty close to Grand Saline. So those of you in Grand Saline, it looks like this is becoming very close to town. This is going to be just south of town right now by about a mile. So State Highway 110 just south of Grand Saline. This is still a confirmed tornado. So again, we do indeed have that tornado on the ground, and unfortunately it looks like it's moving very close to Grand Saline. So if you're watching us from Grand Saline, you need to be in your safe place right now. This is about to move right through town. So State Highway 110, County Road 857, and then US Highway 80, and then FM 17 over towards County Road 1712. If I just listed off any of those roads, or if you are near any of those roads, definitely need to be in your safe place right now. Again, confirmed tornado. This is a very serious situation near the town of Grand Saline. We're going to continue to monitor this here in the coming minutes. Carson, you have an update?
Yes, we're continuing to monitor this storm, and again, it is the most intense storm we have in the area. It is confirmed by storm spotters in Vanzant County, and eventually this is going to likely move across the Sulphur River and into western Wood County. But we'll go ahead and take you to the ground level in Grand Saline. That's something you don't want to see, folks. We do have some very bright indications of very strong winds there, so that bright green and then also those reds on the screen as well. That is where we do have that possible tornado. So Grand Saline, you need to stay in your shelter right now, because this is very likely a tornado that has touched down and is likely going to hit areas just to the east of town. So hopefully this has missed Grand Saline just off to the east, but still, you know, it's really not showing any signs of letting up, and this will cross Highway 80 within the next couple of minutes. But lots of lightning associated with the storm, and obviously we do have that possible tornado that continues to move up to the north and to the northeast. We're going to put a storm track on this now, just because we do have most of northwestern Wood County that is under this tornado warning, and for good reason. I mean, we do have the possibility of a tornado crossing the county line very, very soon. Braden.
We just got something from law enforcement in Vanzant County. They're getting reports of a tree on a house at FM 1255 and State Highway 110. Also reports of a roof blown off of a house in Vanzant County. So clearly a tornado has gone through this area.
Yes, unfortunately, that means, this tornado warning has verified, and this storm now has a history of producing tornadoes and will probably produce one or two more as it moves into this area. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to put a storm track on this, but you got to be on alert. The county seat in Wood County, that is Quitman, you need to be seeking shelter because this is not that far from you, a storm with a history of producing tornadoes, and it looks like in the eastern part of Vanzant County, we already have confirmation of some damage. So putting a storm track on this, we're going to track it just to the northeast of Grand Saline, and we'll track it off to the northeast there at about 40 miles per hour. Maybe a little quicker than the storm is moving, but this will give you advance notice, and there you go. It's 3:26 right now. These storms are moving very, very quickly. It will be in Golden by 3:35. Alba, 3:36. Calvary, 3:39. Salem, 3:40. Gunter, 3:44. Gamblin, 3:47. Quitman, 3:47. Gilbreth, 3:48. Forest Hill, 3:51. Yantis, 3:51 as well. So there's the cone of uncertainty there. It's moving to the northeast. Be on alert if you live in northwestern Wood County. Mineola, you're on the very edge of this polygon. I highly doubt you are going to see this tornado unless it makes a hard right turn, which it probably won't. But be on alert still, even if you're in the southern part of this warning, because you do have more storms that are producing a lot of rotation to your south. And it looks like, John, we've got another tornado warning for northwestern Smith County. This does not include the city of Tyler, but Lindale looks like it is in the bullseye of that storm. So whenever you're ready, sir. That's going to be on the Shreveport National Weather Service Shreveport site.
Okay, let me pull it up here. All right, tornado warning for northwestern Smith and southwestern Wood County until 4 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Brownsboro. That's about 9 miles northeast of Athens, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Radar indicated a possible tornado and quarter-size hail. It will be near Lindale around 3:55. Other locations that could be impacted by that storm include Red Springs and Carroll. This again goes till 4 o'clock. It includes northwestern Smith and southwestern Wood counties.
Okay, so northwestern Smith and southeastern Wood County, or southwestern. Yeah, southwestern, my apologies. And there's the rotation. It's going to be to the north of Murchison. This one is not down at this point. At least we haven't had any confirmation, but a tornado could form at any time as this thing pushes off to the northeast. Now, it looks like it's likely to move to the northwest. It's going to move probably between Van and Carroll, but be on alert if you do live in the Van vicinity and Carroll. But there's Lindale right there. And I think this is going to miss Lindale off to the northeast. But with the way these storms are behaving, they're behaving very erratically today. Doesn't mean a rotation on the southern end of the storm couldn't form up, or we couldn't have a tight rotation form a little further off to the north. But the noted rotation in the storm is to the north of Murchison, and this is about to cross the Henderson-Vanzant County line. So we've got multiple tornado warnings in the area. We will put a quick little storm track on this one, and we'll show you the projected path of the storm here, and we'll show you from about Brownsboro over to Mars there. And as we track this off to the northeast, there you go. So if it hits Brownsboro, it's going to hit at 3:34, Edom 3:38, Primrose 3:41, Midway 3:43, Carroll 3:50, Garden Valley in northwestern Smith County 3:51, Mount Sylvan along Highway 110 3:53, Hideaway 3:56, Friendship 3:58, and Lindale, Texas about 4:01, which is about 31 minutes away from right now. So if you live in Lindale, go ahead and seek shelter because this is a storm that is going to move very, very close to you guys in Lindale, and then also Mineola in southern Wood County. That is also in this polygon. You need to be seeking shelter. So what we mean by the polygons are these red boxes here. So they encompass where the tornado could track. If it strengthens, it likely moves a little further off to the east. If it stays on the present path it is right now, it likely moves a little further off to the north. So Mineola, Red Springs, Sand Flat, Swan, Lindale, Friendship, Carroll, New Harmony, that's where the storm is heading right now. And then near Grand Saline, that is where we do have that confirmed tornado. It is crossing the Sabine River at this time. It's likely to hit Alba, and it's likely to track between Gunter and Quitman. So this is probably going to miss Quitman off to the west, but Gunter and Yantis, this is going to come very, very close to you. It is likely to move over Lake Fork within the next 10 or so minutes. Still very tight rotation. You never want to see this, but as we look at the correlation coefficient, I'm still not really picking up debris, but again, this is on the Fort Worth radar site. I could probably use the Shreveport radar site for this, but both radar sites are over 80 miles away, so it would have to be something significant to be getting debris this high in the atmosphere. But once again, that's where that potential tornado is. And we'll go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity. That's the best product to use in this part of East Texas, but that is going to be very close to the Smith, Wood, and Vanzant County line. So Grand Saline, this storm has now moved to your northeast. I would still remain at home. I would remain in shelter because you have more rain that is heading your way. But right along the Sabine River there, that is where we do have that real tight couplet. That's what we like to call it, with those bright greens to the north and then those bright reds to the south. John.
From what I can tell, it looks like this circulation is going to run right along Farm to Market Road 17 to the east of Grand Saline, and that's the way that circulation looks like it's going to go. So that would carry it up between Alba and Golden, a little bit closer to Alba than Golden as it continues to move off to the northeast.
So yeah, so it looks like it's very close to Alba. John mentioned Farm to Market Road 17, so we're going to zoom in, and there it is right there, and he's exactly right. So Farm to Market Road 17, that crosses the Sabine River right there, and that's where that potential location is. So what we can hope for is this thing moving between Alba and Golden, kind of goalposting the two communities, and then moving over Lake Fork for the time being. Now again, we don't want anything to get hit, but if it hits any population center, then that would be a major problem. But this is a very concerning storm that could be producing damage at this time. It has a history of producing damage, so this is going to move between Alba and Golden, and the road that goes between the two communities is going to be that's US Highway 69, isn't it? Yes, it's US Highway 69 between Alba and Golden. So this continues to move up to the northeast. We'll put another storm track on this just to show you some of these arrival times. Alba, you need to be in your storm shelter. Golden, Gamblin, Yantis, all need to be in your storm shelter right now. So we'll track this up to the northeast, and this is about 40 miles per hour. So there you go. It's within 5 minutes of you in Alba, 339, Golden 339, Calvary 342, Salem 342, Gunter 347, Gamblin 349, Quitman at 349, Yantis 353, Forest Hill 354 as well. So again, this is a radar confirmed tornado. John, do you have something?
They do have damage reports in Grand Saline. They are not specific about what type of damage it was, but it is related to this circulation we've just been describing. Also, there's a new tornado warning that will be coming for western Franklin County for the cell coming out of Hopkins County. There it is now. Let me pull that up. Tornado warning for northern Franklin County, northwestern Titus County, and southwestern Red River County. This goes until 4:15. 334, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 9 miles north of Como, or about 10 miles east of Sulphur Springs, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. $half size hail, and radar also indicates rotation there, a possible tornado.
So this is going to be that storm right there. And the National Weather Service in Fort Worth, they were fairly certain that they had something on the ground to the south of Sulphur Springs, and that's that warning that now does include Franklin County and northern Franklin County at that. So we're going to continue to monitor this as it pushes off to the north and to the northeast. We'll put a quick storm track on that one because I know we do have viewers in northern Franklin County. I want to be respectful to them and show them where this storm is. And there you go. There's some of the arrival times all between now and 4 o'clock. Mahoney 340, East Caney 340, White Oak Junction 340, and then 344 for Weaver, Dike 345, Flora 348, Nelta 351, Saltillo 352, Sulphur Bluff 356, Oakdale 357. So those are the arrival times on that storm. But again, perhaps the two most intense circulations that we have are further off to the south and to the southwest. So if you live in Lindale, you got that warning on your phone. That is that tornado warning that's coming out of Edom right now. It is, again, to the north. It's extreme eastern Vanzant County, likely along Highway 64 there. We'll bring that up one more time. But there you go. It does look like this is a fairly intense rotation, and it looks like it's just to the southwest of Edom. So this is going to bear watching over the next several minutes as this pushes up into northwestern Smith County. But they're all the locations included in that warning. Edom, Primrose, Carroll, Garden Valley, Friendship, Lindale, Horde, Crow, Red Springs, Sand Flat, Tyler State Park, Swan, New Harmony, and the extreme northern point on Lake Palestine that crosses the bridge there. That's Kickapoo Creek, and that is also the Natchez River there. So again, intense circulation, but the most dangerous storm that we have in the area is going to be very, very close to Alba, and it does look like it is still producing, you know, what could be a tornado that has a history of producing damage to the east of Canton and in the Grand Saline area. So this is still a major concern and continues to push up towards Lake Fork in northwestern Wood County. I'm going to have Braden take a look at a couple of these storms just to get another perspective and another point of view on this. And Braden, it looks like we've got a very, very active radar presentation in our western counties, but Wood and Smith County, they're right on our doorstep now.
Yeah, that's right. Things are really getting going here, and just to the west of the Tyler area, if you're traveling here over towards Chandler, Brownsboro, there definitely is an indication that there could be a tornado. That would be right there, very close to Brownsboro. That's going to be moving into the direction of Edom, Midway, up towards eventually the New Harmony area. And this is that storm over there that is getting ready to cross, that's going to cross Interstate 20 here within the next 20 minutes or so. That is what the tornado warning up in Lindale is for right now. So this particular tornado warning, again, not confirmed. This one itself is not confirmed, but that is definitely an indication right here that we could be seeing, again, a tornado spin up very quickly in a very fast manner, so to speak. And then also even just a hair north of the viewing area up into the city of Clarksville, they have had reports of a tornado debris signature moving into the Clarksville area. So if you do have anyone you know up in that area there along the Red River, definitely have a significant tornado that is producing a tornado debris signature moving into the Clarksville area. But here in East Texas in particular, we are looking at multiple tornado warnings. So as we look at the reflectivity here, this presentation, it's going to be that little kind of lighter area right there. That's where the clearest indication of the potential for a tornado is going to be right there between Brownsboro and Edom. So if you are located here in this area over there, I believe this is Highway 31. So if you're along Highway 31, you're going to want to take very serious this tornado warning, because it is not only producing potentially a tornado, but some very heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, and lots of winds, as we've seen. Lots of tree damage here, not particularly only associated with tornadoes, but also just in general from the very high winds that we're seeing because of these storms. Again, this tornado warning there for the city of Brownsboro up towards Edom. That goes until 4 p.m. and then the extension downstream up into places like Lindale. That is for this particular storm right here. So taking a look at that velocity again, it shows that the circulation is now right on the doorstep of Edom. So that's going to be right there, about to move into town. So if you live in Edom, now is the time to take shelter if you haven't already, because this is really knocking on your doorstep, and it does clearly have the potential to be on the ground. Although there's no confirmation, this is a pretty tight circulation, and whenever you see these colors so close together, these bright kind of colors here, that means that the potential is there for a tornado to be on the ground. So again, we're not really seeing any in the way of a debris signature, but again, there is that indication there, as well as the velocity and that reflectivity image, that we could have a tornado at any time. So this is going to go just to the west and northwest of the city of Tyler. So you aren't under the gun in the city of Tyler just yet, but this storm is spitting out lightning bolts all the way over into the city of Tyler. So really not a good idea to be outdoors as of now in anywhere in Smith County, because these storms have a lot of lightning. And again, we are only just getting started with these storms. So John, if you could move up the radar to that storm just next in line, the one up there in Grand Saline, the Grand Saline area. That storm definitely still has that rotation. There we go, right there, that is getting ready to move just to the northeast of the Quitman area. That storm just up the line there in Wood County. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. So there we go. That storm right there, still confirmed tornado warning on that one for the Quitman area. That's going to be between Yantis and Quitman. Still a very clear indication that we do have a tornado. It might not still be on the ground, but all indications are that we definitely have some very tight rotation. At the very least, some very strong winds there. That's going to be located just to the southwest of Highway 154. So if you are familiar with that, or State Highway 182, right there near County Road 1590. So any of those locations, this is going to be moving again to the northeast. So State Highway 154 runs right here. That's Farm to Market 288, and this is going to move in that general direction. So even places over here to the northwest of Quitman, Farm to Market 2225, County Road 1226, and then eventually up towards FM 2966. That's all going to be moving in your direction here just to the northwest of Quitman. So still a confirmed tornado warning with this, as we have had confirmation of damage back into portions of Vanzant County and Grand Saline. We did have reports of some damage around there, and we continue, of course, to monitor this. So again, there is that potential for this to still be on the ground. You can see it moving in that northeastern direction, so that's going to put it crossing State Highway 154 here within the next probably 5 minutes or so, just to the northwest of the city of Quitman. So if you live in Quitman, if you have loved ones that live in that area or anywhere off to the northwest in portions of Wood County, this is a serious situation. Make sure to call them, tell them to take shelter, as this has been indicated to be a tornado on the ground for quite some time now, and we're continuing to monitor this moving off to the northwest, or the northeast, excuse me, very quickly at a good clip. And with all these latest scans, it just doesn't want to weaken. We continue to see these very bright colors here with all the indications that there still could very well be a tornado on the ground with this storm in particular. And we're continuing to monitor other storms as well. That storm just to the west of Tyler down there in the Edom area still has a very strong rotational signature on it. That's going to be moving just to the north of Brownsboro now. So at the very least with that storm, as you can see behind me, there's going to be some very strong winds moving into the Edom area. So just those themselves can produce some damage, but also as this lifts on off to the northeast, it could tighten up very quickly in places like Midway, up towards Lindale, in places like Mount Sylvan, over towards Carroll, Hideaway. All of you guys need to be in your safe spot very quickly here in the next couple of minutes, because this is moving quickly on off to the northeast, and that's going to put it in Lindale here within the next 20 minutes or so. So we can put a storm tracker on this for you. And again, it's going to be moving off to the northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. And that would put it in Lindale at 4:08 p.m. So you've got roughly 20 minutes or so to take those precautions and take shelter. Then if it does hold together, if it does move a little bit farther off to the northeast, places like Hawkins, that would be in your vicinity by around 4:29, and then Big Sandy at 4:36. And with these storms today, with the ingredients that we have in the atmosphere, they're not ones to really just kind of wrap up and then quickly go away. These could be long track supercells that are producing the potential for some tornadoes, or at the very least some damage here with winds and hail for several miles. So it's going to be one of those type of days where if you get a tornado warning, it's not just going to be, oh, the sirens are going off and it happens all the time. This is the day to really pay attention to it, as we have, again, very clear indications of tornadoes here. One just to the west of Tyler. This is going to be in northwestern parts of Smith County, again towards Lindale, eventually moving up towards the I-20 corridor, and then another one to the north. That one's going to be up there into portions of Wood County near the city of Quitman. That one still has a confirmation on it, as we continue to, of course, monitor all the latest that's happening with these storms. And in fact, there was a photo potentially of a tornado that was taken at State Highway 110. I believe that would be in Vanzant County, of what looks like a tornado. So may have been visible as it was in Vanzant County. And then also there's that storm that is farther on off to the north into portions of Hopkins County that has continued to look like it is definitely at the very least rotating very strongly. So these couplets are strong. We've got 3 of them right here, right in this line here, from just to the east of Sulphur Springs down to the northwest of Quitman, and then also to the west of Tyler over there towards, again, that's going to be moving in the direction of Lindale here within the next several minutes. So these storms are definitely hauling on off to the northeast, and they do have tornado warnings. So 1, 2, 3. That's what we have right now as far as tornado warnings go. And again, that's going to be pushing into the city of Lindale here at about 4:10 or so. So if that motion continues, and which we believe that it will, considering that the atmosphere is just primed today to produce long track supercells and multiple areas of rotation, we do believe that these have the potential to produce tornadoes. And again, we've got 3 areas that we're monitoring right now. And of course, I want to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Carson Vickroy. He's going to have the latest on what we're seeing. Carson?
Yes, very rough situation going on, especially in our western counties, as these things continue to push off to the east. Now, as we put this in motion here, I've got to put this in play mode here on the hand tracker real quick, but I am very concerned with those 2 circulations that meteorologist Braden Seo was pointing out there, one of which is moving into Smith County as we speak. It's about to cross the Sabine River, and we also have the rotation that has produced a tornado that continues to move across Highway 69. This is going to be in northern Wood County now, and it's going to move probably just to the east of Lake Fork. So we'll put on the storm relative velocity, and there's that real tight couplet that is very, very concerning. And it looks like it's going to miss Yantis just off to the east. It's going to miss Gamblin just off to the east there. And I mean, as we zoom in to this potential storm, it is right along State Highway, State Highway 154. So it moved over Highway 69, but now it's heading towards Highway 154. So it's moving off to the northeast there, and eventually it's going to cross into portions of looks like that is Hopkins and then Franklin County. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. It's likely to move towards the Como vicinity and then move up into extreme southeastern Hopkins County before it moves in the direction of Interstate 30 and Mount Vernon, which, by the way, in Mount Vernon, we do have a possible tornado to the north of you, but that's closer to the Sulphur River at this point than it is Mount Vernon. And there's a debris signature up in Clarksville, Texas. We don't cover Clarksville, so if you know anybody to the northeast of Clarksville, give them a call. But the storms continue to push off to the south and to the southeast, and we've got videos from social media of something that has touched down in the Canton vicinity. So we're going to keep an eye on those. And if you do happen to see something, you can safely get those pictures to us. Please do, because it would really help us report on what exactly has happened. But there's Interstate 20. We do have that circulation that is still producing rotation. That is going to be to the west of Carroll. That's going to be to the south of Highway 110 near Mount Sylvan. It's going to be very close to the New Harmony area, Carroll, Hideaway, Lindale, all in the path of this storm. If I had to put it on the trajectory, it's probably going to pass between Garden Valley and Hideaway and probably just to the northwest of Lindale. So it will probably cross Highway 69 to the north of downtown Lindale if we had to make a projection right now. But these storms, they are erratic in nature and will continue to do so just with the state of the atmosphere, because the atmosphere is very, very unstable, and these storms could often shift their tracks on a day like today. So a very intense wind with this storm. It looks like it has crossed into Smith County at this point as it is moving towards Interstate 20 as we speak. But just a radar reset real quick. We'll put on the reflectivity for Shreveport. And there you go, folks. Lots of shower and thunderstorm activity that is continuing to move off to the north and to the northeast. Western Smith County, we are starting to see some of this rain now. And further off to the southwest, we really haven't seen any redevelopment to the south, which is some good news. And that's kind of what the models were hinting at. But near Brownsboro, we're going to have to watch this area of the storm to see if anything does form, and to see if anything forms in the city of Tyler, which we do have a camera view looking off to the west there in Tyler. If we could bring that up at some point, we'll show you that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go show you that right now, and this is looking off to the west because it is looking very ominous and very dark off to the west of Tyler. So there you go. Obviously, lots of rain there in the distance. This is very heavy rain that is being produced by this storm, regardless if a tornado has touched down in it or not. And we've got lots of rain, perhaps a little bit of hail, and some damaging winds associated with that storm right now. And again, that's this storm that is just to the west of Tyler. It's affecting New Harmony, Mount Sylvan, Carroll, and Lindale at this time. It looks like we do have a little bit of hail to the east of Van, probably pocket change size there along Highway 110 between Carroll and Van at this time. But still, we do have, perhaps the most intense circulation right now that has already produced a tornado that is now going to be to the east of Lake Fork, to the north of Quitman, and northern Wood County. So we'll pull up the dual polarization. I'm still not seeing any indication of a debris signature there, but that doesn't mean one won't form. And it does look like over the last couple of frames, the circulation has gotten a little bit weaker, so that would be good news if this is starting to pulse down just a little bit. But let me take the lightning off real quick, and you can see the lightning has really, it's still there. I mean, it is really ramped up as these storms have moved through. But to the east of Yantis, that's where we had the strongest circulation. But over the last couple of frames, it's really weakened. So you'll notice over the last 15 to 30 minutes, as it's moved over the lake, it has weakened. So at least we have a little bit of good news there. And it will move into extreme northeastern Hopkins County. And at this point, we are getting very, very close to the boundary. And when it gets to the boundary, it might weaken a little bit more and become and not be tornado warned anymore. So we'll hope for that possibility. But nonetheless, this is still a very real threat for extreme northern Wood County and extreme southeastern Hopkins County. So we do have lots of rotation. We've got several tornado warnings we are dealing with, and this continues to be a rough threat for portions of East Texas. Pausing this now, the storm that has produced that tornado warning to the south of Garden Valley and to the west of Mount Sylvan continues to produce that rotation. I'm not seeing any debris signature within this storm yet, but that doesn't mean that won't change. Lots of wind shear in the Mount Sylvan community in Carroll. This is going to be very close to the Tyler Rose Horse Park. It is going to be just to the west of Hideaway. And between mile markers 547 on Interstate 20 and mile marker 537, that's probably about where this storm is going to pass between. And we could actually see an enhancement of our wind right now. So we could see some very strong winds moving into the Garden Valley vicinity. But there's the Sabine River to the southwest in Garden Valley. This is producing a lot of wind. It could be producing a tornado at this point, but we have had no confirmation that anything has spun up with this specific storm. We haven't been as lucky as what folks were near Canton and what folks were near Grand Saline, where we did have that reported damage in the area. So we haven't put a storm track on this in a while. We're going to put a storm track on it now. And we'll track it just to the northeast of Garden Valley. From the tornado warning that you got the notification on your smartphone in Smith County, we'll track it to the northeast here. And as we do so, there are going to be some of your arrival times. So it's 3:56 right now. Garden Valley, you could see this storm as early as 3:58. Friendship 402, Mineola. We haven't talked a lot about Mineola a lot, but it's 410. West Mineola will be 411. Horde will be 412. New Hope 412. Crow 416. Haynesville 419. And if we're not seeing a tornado with this storm, we're probably seeing some strong winds on the leading edge of this storm. But again, there are some of your arrival times. There's the polygon, which stretches from Calvary and Wood County all the way down to Swan in portions of Smith County there. So looks like we've got a couple of different polygons now. John, do we have an update to this warning?
A tornado warning for northwestern Smith County, central Wood County, and west central Upshur County. This goes until 4:45 this afternoon. At 3:55, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Lindale, and a tornado and quarter-size hail are radar indicated. Moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. It's going to be near Lindale around 4 o'clock, which is coming up here in about 3 minutes. Horde around 4:10 and Haynesville around 4:20. Other locations that could be impacted include Red Springs and Carroll.
Okay, so Red Springs and Carroll, and that's going to be on the road that goes to Tyler State Park and the road that continues into Hopkins as well. So it's likely to move to the north of Lindale in the direction of the Sabine River. It will eventually cross Highway 69. So there's the circulation, and Quitman is now in this warning. Mineola is in this warning. Hawkins obviously in this warning. A couple more communities: Horde, Haynesville, East Point, Little Hope, Shady Grove, and Kelsey. There in extreme western Upshur County are in this warning. Still, you know, pretty good sign of rotation there. And we'll zoom in, we'll get real tight with this storm, and we'll tell you some of the roads that could be impacted where a tornado could form at any time. And there's Hideaway. So to the west of Hideaway, that's where we have the Van Highway, County Road 437, Farm to Market Road 16 West, County Road 442, County Road 445, Farm to Market Road 1253. That's where we do have the greens that are winds moving towards the Shreveport radar site, and then the reds that are moving away from the Shreveport radar site, and that's where we do have that rotation. And eventually this will cross Highway 69 near Friendship and producing a possible tornado. Now, any other severe weather modes that we could see with this storm, you'll notice some of the pink there. We could be seeing some small hail associated with this storm, so we're going to keep an eye on that possibility as this thing continues to push off to the north and to the northeast. So we're keeping a very close eye on this storm. We've got eyes on it in downtown Tyler. We do have our downtown Tyler Plaza Tower cam pointing off to the west, and meteorologist Braden Seo is going to show you what's happening and kind of explain some of the science of, you know, just how dark the skies are and how heavy the rain is falling out to our west. Braden.
Yeah, absolutely. So behind me is the view from atop the Plaza Tower. So you can see from time to time we do have lots of lightning. You can see some of those flashes of lightning again. No confirmation of a tornado as of now, but still we do have a lot in the way of lightning, winds here. That's a view, as you can see here, full screen look at the sky view camera there from atop the Plaza Tower there in downtown Tyler, looking off to the northwest. So that's going to be our view again over towards places like Lindale. That's the storm that's moving into Lindale right now. This is going to move to the north of Tyler, so the city of Tyler itself, you're fine here in Tyler. But again, northern Smith County up towards Lindale, Interstate 20, Hideaway, those locations, that's where you really want to be again taking your shelter right now because of this storm. Again, even if there's not a tornado, there's going to be lots of wind in this storm and lots of lightning, very heavy rain, maybe even some hail. And as we switch back over to the radar view, again, there is also a storm that I really want to talk about up farther to the north. This is going to be in Franklin County. So John, if you could move the radar to that storm in Franklin County, that one up there has a confirmed tornado on it. That's going to be to the northeast of Mount Vernon. So this storm right here, again, we're far away from the radar, so we're not getting the best view of the storm itself. But again, that is confirmed according to the National Weather Service. So if you live in northeastern Franklin County, north of Mount Vernon, this is going to be over towards places to, again, north of Mount Vernon, over towards Talco. And again, that's going to be moving out of Franklin County before too much longer. But northeastern Franklin County, confirmed tornado with that. That's what the National Weather Service has said. So the tornado warning, a large and extremely dangerous tornado was reported with this storm. Locations impacted include English, Talco, Hartsbluff, Lydia, Johntown, Couthland, Avery, and Anona. So any of those locations, if you recognize any of those names, this is going to be moving from northeastern Franklin County and eventually getting into portions of Red River County as well. So over into, again, Avery, the Avery area, Hartsbluff here, Talco, Maple Springs. You guys are all under the gun. Again, large and extremely dangerous tornado confirmed with this storm. So you want to take this very seriously. It's moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. And again, this tornado warning goes for northern Franklin, west central Bowie, northern Titus, and southern Red River counties. And that's going to go until here for the next several minutes. So we are looking at that storm. Again, large, extremely dangerous tornado, northern Franklin County moving into northwestern Titus County, and then eventually moving out of the viewing area into places like Red River County. So it's hard to see kind of the clear indication of whether or not we have a debris signature with this storm because of how far away from the radar that we are. But nonetheless, we do have a very serious situation up there in northern parts of the viewing area, with that potential for a large and extremely dangerous tornado that has been confirmed by the National Weather Service. So as we put on the reflectivity here, you can see one of the main reasons why it's going to be so dangerous, this storm, is that it's wrapped in rain. So we're looking at a rain-wrapped tornado here. That's what makes it all the more dangerous here, is because we are looking at just all kinds of heavy rain, very strong winds, and lots of lightning as well. So don't try to go outside and see this tornado because you're not going to be able to see it. It is buried in that rain. And as we check out that velocity once again, you can see this is the location that we're looking at right there, very near the Talco community. So if you know anybody that's there, this is going to be again off to the north and west of White Oak, over towards Maple Springs, Hartsbluff, and eventually into the Avery area up into portions of Red River County. So northern Franklin, northern Titus, you guys are under the gun right now, and eventually quickly moving into portions of Red River County. But back down to that storm in the Smith County area. If we could go back down that way, we'll give you an update on what's going on with that. And it's starting to look like the storm might be trying to gust out a little bit. So more of a damaging wind threat rather than a tornado threat here. But look at all those bright colors. So whenever you see that on the radar, so this is looking from the Shreveport radar here. And that means that this here, these bright blue colors, are winds moving towards the Shreveport radar. So those are winds coming out of the west, moving moving to the east, and then the red colors are the winds that are coming out of the east moving towards the west. So of course there is turning with this storm, but they're not super close together. There's no tightness there with the couplet. So when that happens, it's mostly just a damaging wind threat. There's definitely rotation here, but it looks like for now, all of you guys up there in Smith County look like you are going to be okay with regards to a tornado. But it does look like up there, maybe just to the north of that, into other portions of Wood County, there might actually be confirmation of a tornado. So funnel cloud actually was spotted to the west of Lindale. But again, it looks like that was just a few minutes ago, and things might be gusting out here with regards to this particular storm. Really just looks like damaging wind threat heading into Lindale and Hideaway. Want to be in your shelter regardless. The tornado warning is in effect, so really take this seriously, because regardless of if there's a tornado or not, damaging winds can do the same kinds of damage, especially here in East Texas where we have all of these trees. And if you have trees around your house, take that into account whenever you're taking shelter as well. Move to a portion of your home that's not going to be affected by those falling trees. And this is going to continue to move on off to the north and east at around 35 miles per hour. So right now it is on top of you guys in Lindale, and also moving over towards Hideaway. You're probably getting some very heavy rain, hearing lots of thunder as well as this continues to push on off to the north and east. And these storms, like we've seen, can tighten up very quickly. So if this does indeed start to tighten up, then a tornado could touch down in a quick amount of time. So that's why you want to take this seriously, because you are under a tornado warning, and definitely want to take shelter regardless of if there is a confirmed tornado or not. Again, lots of trees here in East Texas. All it takes is one to cause some serious problems there at your home. So reflectivity shows all of that very heavy rain, likely even some hail associated with this storm, as well as you go to the north of Lindale, over towards the Mineola area, south of Mineola, getting up towards Haynesville, Horde, Crow. All of those small communities are seeing some hail and very heavy rain and some wind at the least. Not a confirmation of a tornado, but at the very least, definitely seeing a pretty intense storm up there in northern Smith County. Carson?
Yes, Braden, the atmosphere is very conducive for all modes of severe weather. So he was talking a little bit about how the storm was gusting out a little bit, and we might be seeing that in northern Smith County. You can see these reds showing up on our severe weather threat, and those winds could be in excess of, let's say 60 miles per hour, which is enough to do damage, especially here in East Texas. As Braden mentioned, we could see a lot of tree damage out of storms like these as they move off to the north and to the northeast, but also the hail threat as well. Let me show you what we are seeing on reflectivity real quick, and there you go. Something we haven't talked about a lot is the possibility of large hail. So a couple of notes: if you're in the Tyler vicinity, we really have not seen much in the way of storms yet. I mean, we've seen a little bit of lightning. I guess we're seeing a bit of a shower in downtown right now. But if you have a minute of time and you're able to do it safely, again, make sure you get this done quickly, because this storm, it's heading in your direction. You can see by Brownsboro, it's not warned or anything like that. But if you live in the city limits of Tyler, I would get your car under cover if you are able to, or get your car into the garage to avoid any hail damage, because there is a little bit of hail near Brownsboro. But once again, this is likely not going to produce anything significant, but it could wrap up as it moves further off to the east. So we'll watch out for that possibility. But with the severe weather threats in northern Smith County, we do have the possibility of some hail up to the size of quarters, which is enough to do damage to some roofs and also some cars if you are driving around in this, but also some very strong winds near the Friendship community to the south of the Sabine River. So that's one tornado warning that we're monitoring. We'll pull up the storm relative velocity just to show you if we do have any more rotation. And once again, I'm not seeing anything concrete that says we do have a tornado right now. But as Braden has been mentioning, and I've been mentioning a little earlier, this can happen at any time. So just bear with us. This is a storm that is very intense and continues to push off to the north and to the northeast. So We'll look a little further off to the southwest because I do know we've got a lot of people watching from the Tyler vicinity. I'm not seeing any signs of rotation in the southern flank of that storm. And this is what we're talking about right here, are these showers and thunderstorms that are moving through northeastern Henderson County, which will likely affect Tyler at one point or another. So at least we're not seeing as much in the way of rotation as what we were seeing, but still a pretty nasty storm moving through Lindale, moving through southern Wood County. You're seeing lots of heavy rain in Quitman right now, but the threat of a tornado is now well to the north of you in Quitman, and it's moving through Hopkins County. But we still have some nasty weather that is occurring near the Red River. We have that confirmed tornado near the Talco vicinity that is moving up to the north into portions of Red River County, might cross into Bowie County. So that's the lay of the land right now, and you can see these storms have just intensified as they've pushed further off to the east. But what we are noticing is a line of showers and thunderstorms with a few embedded supercells within them. And that's always a scary thing to deal with, especially around these parts where not only could we have the wind damage, but we could also have those rain-wrapped tornadoes that can do a lot of damage as well. So right now, Tyler and Longview, we have been spared from any warnings, but we do have that warning for northern Smith, southern Wood, and western Upshur County, and we're keeping a very, very close eye on these storms as they progress off to the east. But if you live along Highway 259, while you haven't had any warnings yet, be on alert because we've got some nasty storms out to our west that continue to march eastward. So keeping a very close eye on these storms as they get closer and closer to Highway 259. Go ahead and pause this. We'll do a little bit of analysis on a few of these storms here, and we're going to pause this that's moving through Lindale, and you're probably seeing some very heavy rain in Lindale. Lots of lightning just to the west of town. Carroll and Wood Springs seeing lots of heavy rain along the Sabine River. There's lots of heavy rain there as well. But as of right now, other than a funnel cloud, we have not had any confirmed reports of a tornado. So we're keeping an eye on any reports that we see because this is moving through a populated area at this point, but hopefully we haven't seen anything touch down in northwestern Smith County. Further up to the north, we still have this confirmed tornado polygon, which should be allowed to expire here pretty soon. We don't really have any rotation in that storm, but we do have a lot of heavy rain, so I would stay in shelter. You don't want to be messing around with this because this heavy rain in itself can be very dangerous if you are out in it. There's lots of ponding on the roadways. There's been lots of heavy rain over the last hour to hour and a half as these storms have really ramped up and gotten going here. So just be wary of that if you do have to get out and about this evening. But once again, we are tracking storms from Henderson County all the way up to the Red River this afternoon, and they have produced heavy rain, they've produced tornadoes, and they have produced a little bit of hail and some damaging wind gust as well. So these storms, they're likely to intensify because we are moving into the peak of the daytime heating, which is why areas to the east, if you are under that tornado watch, you really need to be keeping in touch with the weather forecast and the radar, just because these storms are heading in your direction. And doesn't mean that they're not affecting you right now. It doesn't mean they won't affect you here in the future. So once again, we'll continue to monitor these showers and thunderstorms as they push off to the east. Here's a look at some of our power outages that we have. And as of right now, we're in pretty good shape, but with those storms that have moved through some of our western counties, we do have a few hundred customers without power in Henderson, Vanzant, Wood, and Hopkins County. So we've got about, if you do the quick math there, about 2,200 customers without power in East Texas right now, which we're in pretty good shape given what we have been seeing on radar. So we'll count our blessings and we'll hope that continues. But this event continues to roll on, and we have probably a few more hours of it to go as these storms continue to push off to the east. But I mean, the good news is, if you look at these storms, they're moving fairly quickly off to the north and to the northeast. They have backbuilt a little bit further off to the south and to the southwest, but Overall, we've done pretty good, from a storm standpoint for areas to the east of Lindale, Mount Pleasant, Pittsburgh, and Gilmer along Highway 259. Those are the next in line for those showers and thunderstorms. Braden.
Yeah, Carson, you're right. Things are definitely still evolving very quickly here across portions of our area. But again, we do still have 2 tornado warnings in the viewing area. So one of those is in the far northern portion of the viewing area. That's going to be to the north of Mount Pleasant, so north of Interstate 30. That did have a confirmation on it not too long ago. And we also saw a pretty large tornado that was up in the Clarksville area roughly 30 minutes ago or so that has caused some damage up that way. But as far as these 2 warnings right now, this one here near Lindale looks again like it's not really tightening up in terms of that rotation. So we can take a look at that velocity for you, and it shows that both of these circulations are fairly broad right now. Now we are a little bit a ways from the radar, so that means that the radar beam is kind of shooting pretty high up into the atmosphere, so we aren't getting that full look at that low level rotation. But nonetheless, there's definitely still rotation here because you can see the outbounds and the inbounds as far as the winds go here with regards to these 2 circulations that we have. So there's definitely mesocyclones in both of these storms, which a mesocyclone is the rotating portion of the storm that is the most dangerous part of a supercell. So as we look at that reflectivity picture again, lots of purples here, lavenders in this storm near Lindale. That's going to be the one that has the potential to produce some hail, maybe up to the size of quarters. So John, if we could zoom in on that storm there, maybe give some folks an idea of exactly where this is heading. So Lindale up to Crow, Horde, Haynesville, and then eventually points on off to the north and east of that. So Hawkins right now, you're likely not seeing too heavy of rain, but if you go just a little ways off to your west, that's where you start to run into some of that heavier rain. So if you're traveling from Hawkins over to Mineola, you're likely going to run into some hail and some rain, lots of thunder and lightning as well. And still looking at indications of some pretty strong winds with this storm as well, potentially up to 60 miles per hour, which is more than capable of producing some tree damage there in central portions of Wood County as this moves farther to the north, and also northern Smith County near the Lindale area as well. So also we did have a flash flood warning get issued. I believe this is for portions of Smith, Upshur, and Wood counties, as we have had repeated rounds of rain with these storms. So a flash flood warning has been issued. That does include the Lindale area all the way over to areas just to the west of Gilmer. So lots of rainfall here in a short amount of time could lead to some ponding on the roadways. So if you're doing any traveling this evening, it's best not to, but if you are, make sure that you are watching for some ponding on the roadways. And of course, if you do encounter some water, turn around, don't drown, because it doesn't take much to cause some big problems as far as flash flooding goes. But both of these storms still tornado warned, but it does look like, at least for the time being, the intensity of them as far as rotation goes is kind of coming down just a little bit. But we've seen this time and time again where these storms can pulse up very quickly, and we will of course continue to monitor these 2 tornado warnings while we have them. So again, recuperating here, tornado warning for portions of northern Smith County into portions of Wood County, and also into far western portions of Upshur County, and then also looking at that tornado warning into northern Franklin and northern Titus County. Now it looks like the most dangerous part of that storm is going to be moving across the viewing area here into the areas near the Red River here before too much longer. So that's going to be out of our viewing area into portions of Red River County. So if you live up that way, if you know anybody up that way, make sure that you give them a call and let them know that there is a storm that does have the potential to produce a tornado that is heading their way. But here in our viewing area, that is going to be moving out here before too much longer. Really, the only game in town after that would be this storm down near Lindale that is moving over towards the Hopkins area into portions of Wood County and eventually Upshur County. So we'll continue to monitor these as we have these tornado warnings. For now, doesn't have any confirmations on them, but nonetheless, we're definitely still monitoring the potential for tornadoes as we do have some low-level rotation in both of these storms. Not super tight, not confident that there's anything on the ground. Regardless of that, some strong winds, some hail, heavy rain, and lots of lightning with these storms, and also that flash flooding risk as we have seen repeated rounds of storms. So there is a flash flood warning for northern portions of Franklin and northwestern portions of Titus County. That's going to be a flash flood warning, and then also again, that storm that has been moving into the Smith and Wood County area has produced lots of rainfall, so there is a flash flood warning for Smith, Upshur, and Wood counties for that potential for some flash flooding down that way. But as far as any tornado signature goes, not really seeing much of that right now, as the indications are that it's mostly just a straight line wind threat right now. So if we put that velocity on there, you can see we're not seeing those kind of tight couplets like we were seeing earlier near Grand Saline. That was a clear indication that we had a tornado. Now they're very broad in nature. So if there was going to be a tornado, if there was going to be one spin up, it would be here just to the north of Lindale, to the east of Mineola, and to the west of Hawkins, in that vicinity. But the colors aren't very quote-unquote hot right now. That's what we call it whenever there's bright colors where the couplets are tight and there is a clear indication of a tornado. But we're not seeing that now, which is some great news. It'll give us some time to kind of pause and regroup here as these storms still move through the area. And then also, as you look farther on off to the north, there's still that confirmed tornado warning up there into portions of northern Titus County, but it does appear that the greatest risk with that storm in particular has moved out of our viewing area. So that's going to be moving to areas just to the east of Clarksville. So if you do know anybody in the Clarksville area up that way, make sure to let them know that there is indeed a tornado on the ground confirmed with that storm moving into that vicinity. So we'll definitely be watching this over the coming minutes. Of course, these storms have been popping up very quickly and then kind of winding down very quickly. We've seen them pulse back and forth. And as we check out, again, that reflectivity image, you can see all that heavy rain and lots of lightning. We can put the lightning on here for you. And you can see all these lightning strikes that we've had here over the past 10 minutes or so, with lots of lightning down here in this storm. This seems to be the most intense storm as far as the rainfall rates and the potential for some hail, as we've seen here into portions of Smith and then up into portions of Wood County. That looks like the most intense storm. So I wouldn't want to be driving anywhere in the vicinity of that storm because of just the amount of heavy rain that we're seeing. It'd likely be very hard to see where you're going on the roadways. And then again, this storm up here with that still, the confirmed tornado, has moved farther to the north of the viewing area. So that's going to be up into portions of Red River County up that way. So as far as we are looking at tornadoes right now, it doesn't appear that we have anything on the ground that is a very pressing matter here in the viewing area. The tornado warning here in the Lindale area, I believe it goes in effect for another 20 minutes. So we'll have this tornado warning for another 20 minutes here into portions of Smith, into Wood, and the western portions of Upshur County. So we'll be monitoring this because while there is a tornado warning, that means the potential is certainly there for it to produce a tornado at any time. Again, we don't have any confirmed tornadoes as of right now, but that is not to say that we couldn't have them here over the coming minutes. But for now, we are good in that department. and we will continue to monitor this. Right now it looks like just a lot of heavy rain, hail, damaging winds, and of course lots of lightning, as you can see behind me, from both of these storms. And then there's also another confirmed tornado that has moved into portions of southeastern Oklahoma near the Idabel area. So as Carson mentioned earlier, this event really is reminiscent of the November 4th, 2022 tornado outbreak, where we had storms in very similar locations that produced damage. Now, this event so far hasn't seemed to produce the breadth of the damage that we had during that event, where we had some pretty significant tornadoes. Now, luckily these storms seem to have been a little more tame than what we had that day, but that's not to say we couldn't see more in the way of tornadoes as we go over the next few hours. And as we check out more of that reflectivity image, lots and lots of heavy rain. And John, if we could slide the radar out just a little bit more to kind of show what's coming down the line, down into other portions of the area. So we do have a couple of more storms trying to get going here. This is going to be to the southwest of Tyler. Nothing severe down that way, but of course a tornado watch is in effect until 9 p.m. So any of these storms could really flare up very quickly. This is going to be right over the city of Palestine. So if you are down there in Palestine, you're likely getting a pretty good thunderstorm right now. No confirmation of any severe weather down there into Henderson County, but definitely a storm that is trying to get its act together. And with the atmosphere that we have here in place, it's not out of the question that any one of these storms could go severe. So we'll keep watching these storms as they intensify pretty quickly. And also, of course, the two tornado warnings that we have right now, the one near Lindale into portions of Wood County and also over into Upshur County, not confirmed as of this moment. So that is some good news, but still you want to take it seriously as a tornado warning is in effect. The National Weather Service doesn't just issue them to issue them. It means they are definitely seeing an indication that a tornado could develop at any time. So we'll continue to monitor that with lots in the way of lightning, very heavy rain, some hail in place as well. And we will also continue to monitor the chat to see if any of these other storms down to the south of Tyler try to get their act together. But Carson, those storms that are firing there in Anderson County kind of pique my interest just a little bit because they seem to be intensifying pretty quickly.
Yes, I am a little concerned about those storms in Anderson County. What Braden is referring to are the showers and thunderstorms just to the north of the Palestine area, and you can see them right there. A little bit of lightning associated with them, but they're still well below severe limits. But as we look at this, this is going to track off to the north and to the northeast, so probably right along Highway 155 there. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that, but you can see just a few lightning strikes in this vicinity. So we'll continue to monitor those, but the main storms, you know, and the main story have been these that have been moving through our western and then more immediately our central counties. But we don't really have anything that is rotating in the Wood or Smith County areas at this time. So at least we have some of that good news, but this is still an intense storm. Folks, you don't want to mess with this if you are driving along Interstate 20. That's where we have some very heavy rain. Even Highway 80 from Mineola over to Big Sandy is going to be a pretty rough go. Any driving in North Tyler as well is going to be a pretty rough go at things as well. So this is still a fairly intense storm, but you'll notice it's not really producing, you know, a lot of hail. It's not producing as many lightning strikes as it was producing just a little while ago. But we still have that convection that we are going to need to keep an eye on as it moves into a more favorable environment further off to the north and to the northeast. And it just seems like everything has been rotating that is formed along Interstate 20 and further off to the north. And we've had multiple tornado warnings today, but this storm that is affecting a lot of you watching right now, I mean, we're not really seeing anything that says we have a tornado that is imminently forming at this point. So I'm glad we have that. We do have some cooler showers and thunderstorms that have formed in Vanzant County. Those are sub-severe, which means they're not severe at this time. Canton, Grand Saline seeing some heavy rain. We'll wait to hear more about the damage that has occurred in those parts of the area, but it did look like we had a brief tornado on the ground there. We also have, this storm on the west side of Chandler that is kind of the southern flank of this main supercell thunderstorm that produced that tornado warning. This is likely to move into northwestern Smith County, and we're going to see lots of rain in Lindale here over the next couple of hours. Some very heavy rain is falling, and then, we have more development down to the south and to the southwest that will need to bear watching here over Henderson County. This will likely cross the Neches River here within the next 5 or 10 minutes, and that will be our problem over in Cherokee County. So just because you haven't seen anything yet in places like Jacksonville and Rusk does not mean you won't see anything, because the atmosphere further off to the east, meaning eastern Smith through Upshur County, through Gregg County, Titus, Morris, Marion, Cass, Harrison, Panola, Rusk County. The atmosphere really has not been touched yet, so it is still very unstable. The atmosphere to the west, however, is beginning to stabilize because we've had all of this activity move up. It's good when we see the storms move through, because after the fact, you're pretty much done. Yes, you will see a few garden variety showers and thunderstorms here and there, but the severe weather decreases because that rain will cool the surface down, so you won't have as much instability as you would have had. And we do have that boundary that is pushed a little further to the southeast, and that will also help to stabilize the atmosphere as well. But a couple of nasty storms there. We did have reports of a tornado on the ground in the Talco vicinity, but that has now moved to the north of the Sulphur River and out of Titus County. Obviously still some very heavy rain associated with that, but it is not a threat to our area, but it is a threat to eastern Red River and western Bowie County. So if you know anybody that lives near New Boston or DeKalb there, make sure they are seeking shelter, because this is a tornado that is down and that is approaching that vicinity. So I know we do have a couple of viewers in this region, or at least people who know of people in those western areas of Bowie County. So make sure you give them a call and say, hey, there's a confirmed tornado heading towards your direction. But what we are concerned with right now are showers and thunderstorms further to the southwest. Now, we should be in our 4 o'clock newscast, but this warning goes until 4:45, and we'll be able, hopefully, to get back to your local news. Of course, if another warning is issued, then we're probably going to stay on the warning, but we should be able to get you back to your local news at 4:45 if this warning is allowed to expire. And I don't really see any reason that it would be extended further off to the east. But again, these storms, they're very fluid. They strengthen, they weaken, they strengthen again. So it wouldn't surprise me if a downstream warning was issued if there is tight rotation indicated in the storm. But we're just not seeing that right now. So there are the storms. Southern Smith County, you probably have no idea why we had to come onto the air, but in northern Smith County, you've got a lot of heavy rain moving through Lindale, anywhere along Interstate 20, from the Smith-Vanzant County line through the Highway 69 exit, the Jim Hogg exit, and then further off to the east, the Winona exit as well. We do have those heavy showers and thunderstorms that are moving through that vicinity. But as of right now, we'll do another quick rotation check, but I'm not really seeing anything that would indicate that we have another imminent tornado warning. Of course, the storm near the Hopkins area, it does look a little bit interesting. So it's broad, but that's either a sign of intense winds or something is trying to wrap up there. But still, it's fairly broad, and I'm not super concerned with it right now. But just to the west of Hopkins, that's where I would put the most dangerous part of the storm right now. And it's going to be very close to Angler and US Highway 80 there. You've got some bright greens on the south side. You've got some bright reds on the north side there, which the circulation is going to be just to the west of the Hopkins vicinity. And again, we're very close to the intersection between the Fort Worth radar site and the Shreveport radar site. So we're using both radars now as this continues to push off to the north and to the northeast. So if you live in Shady Grove, if you live in anywhere in western Upshur County, and anywhere near Bethlehem in Upshur County, and anywhere in this polygon, Latch, Kelsey, pretty much to the west of Big Sandy, take the precautions, make sure you are in your storm shelter, and stay in it until 4:45 or until this warning expires. But that's where I would be most concerned with the possibility of a tornado right now. Now further to the southwest, we still have those showers and thunderstorms that continue. And again, this is very heavy rain, as Braden was alluding to earlier. We do have that heavy rain that is beginning to result in some flash flooding, because what we have seen is a lot of heavy rain over one location in a very short amount of time. We call that the training of thunderstorms, and unfortunately with those flash flood warnings, that could mean we could see some water covering the roadways, especially in those low-lying areas in northern Smith County, which will bear some watching. So please be very careful if you are in a flood-prone area there. So we have those storms in our central counties, and then as Braden and I have been talking about, the storm in Henderson County, we're going to have to keep a close eye on. It looks like we've got one storm that is splitting with the other one. One's likely to move more in the direction of southern Smith and extreme northwestern Cherokee County. This storm between Palestine and Elkhart is likely to move closer to the Jacksonville vicinity. But the area we are going to be watching with these is going to be very close to the Elkhart community. We'll see if anything can form there, and then we'll see if anything can form to the north of Palestine there. And I believe that's going to be along Highway 287 or State Highway 19 there. So we'll keep a watch on both of those areas. But right now, I'm not really seeing any signs of rotation, but these are the next couple of storms that we will be carefully monitoring. And is there any other damage reports from what we saw over in Vanzant County, or are things pretty quiet there from a reporting standpoint? Because I know we've had a couple of pictures of tornadoes that touched down in Vanzant County and also northern Titus County, but beyond that, we don't really have any other reports, do we?
No, I haven't seen anything in the way of any additional reports from over that way. Really, the only reports have come in from the places up there near Bogota and Clarksville and to Red River County. Yeah, I mean, and that looked like a nasty storm as it moved through Red River County. So, I mean, we'll keep them in our thoughts and prayers. But, you know, so far, so good, with the exception of the damage reports that we have seen for our region. But again, we're watching this storm closely in eastern Wood County. It's about to cross the Upshur Wood County line. So we will be keeping a close eye on it just to see if anything wraps up. And that does look a little bit tighter now. And folks, in my ear, if we could get engineering in, my TV screen to my right is freaking out a little bit. So let me know when you guys can take a look at that, because this is kind of getting annoying. But again, to the north of Hopkins, that's where we do have that potential rotation, and we've got another tornado warning. John, go ahead and read that off when you have the chance.
This looks like tornado warning for western Marion, southeastern Wood, Upshur County, southern Morris, southeastern Titus, and Camp County. So this covers a large area there. It goes until 5:30. This is a tornado warning. At 4:36, a tornado producing storm was located near Hawkins, 15 miles west of Gilmer, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. A damaging tornado and quarter-size hail. It is a radar-confirmed tornado. There were reports of some debris that they saw on radar there west of Hawkins, so went ahead and extended this tornado warning until 5:30. The counties again, excuse me, western Marion, southeastern Wood, all of Upshur, southern Morris, southeastern Titus, and Camp County.
Okay, so this tornado is down according to radar. It does look like we do have a debris signature on it, and we'll show you and we'll talk about what that means there. But as we look at this, the rotation, it's going to be to the north of Hawkins, just to the west of the Upshur Wood County line there. So let me pull this up here and we will show you the correlation coefficient, which should show you a bit of debris, and there it is. To the north of Hopkins, that is where we do have that potential tornado. So this probably missed downtown Hopkins and Angler and Big Sandy, so some good news there. But this is a tornado that is down to the southwest of Shady Grove. It is going to move into extreme western Upshur County here in the next little bit, and it does look like we are getting a fairly intense debris signature there. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this, and as you can see, what we have is this is a debris detector. It is a CC product, correlation coefficient product. That's a math term, but there are objects being lofted in the air by a likely tornado that is on the ground, and the radar is detecting those objects that are not like the raindrops and the wind that are going on in this storm right now. So let me go ahead and read off some of these road names. The tornado is down to the east of Private Road 7485, County Road. Braden, go ahead and take this real quick because I just lost signal on the television.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, a confirmed tornado is located here just to the north of Hawkins. This is going to be into eastern portions of Wood County. That's going to eventually move over into portions of Upshur County. So things are getting very active here. This is definitely a tornado. As you can see here, that debris signature is located right there just to the north of Hawkins. So we'll zoom in here just a little bit, John, if you can zoom in down to the street view level so we can read off some of these roads. So that is going to be located right there just to the northwest of Farm to Market Road 1795 and then Private Road 7907, and eventually that's going to move on off to the Shady Grove area. So if you live in the community of Shady Grove, right there along FM 1002 where the intersection is with FM 1795, and then also Cypress Road here. If any of these locations ring a bell, get in your safe place immediately. A confirmed tornado is on the ground doing damage right now in eastern Wood County. So a very serious situation up there. That means you need to go to the lowest floor of your home, sturdy building, get in an interior closet or bathroom with no windows. If you have a helmet, put it on. If you have, make sure you're wearing shoes as well, just in case you have to come out to any debris and you have to walk in some of that debris. So again, an intense debris signature here, a very good indication that we do indeed have a tornado. So the velocity image has gotten much tighter, as you can see here, very tight rotation there. That's going to be located just to the southwest of the Shady Grove community. So again, if we could zoom out just a hair so that we can see where this is going to be moving off to. So there we go. Lots in the way of very strong winds regardless of the tornado. So again, tornado confirmed to the west of Shady Grove, and that's going to be right down here moving in this general direction. So again, places like Shady Grove, Rosewood, these are all very small communities, but of course if you do live in this part of the region, you probably are familiar with some of these locations. So that's going to be moving towards Shady Grove, eventually into portions of Upshur County. This isn't going to affect the city of Gilmer on its current track. It looks like it is going to move just a little bit farther to the northeast of Gilmer, or to the northwest of Gilmer, excuse me. So northwest of Gilmer into places over here towards Armadillo Road, Farm to Market Road 852, Arrowhead Road, and then also Farm to Market Road 556. That is going to be moving in that direction to the northwest of the city of Gilmer. So Gilmer would be within that uncertainty swath here, but again, it might even affect places downstream to Pittsburgh. So between Gilmer and Pittsburgh likely has the best chance of seeing an impact from this confirmed tornado that remains on the ground. So communities here between Gilmer and also Pittsburgh. So Betty, Bethlehem, if any of these ring a bell, that is where this is going to be moving. And again, a very strong indication that we do indeed have a tornado on the ground from both a velocity standpoint and also from a correlation coefficient debris detector standpoint. So there we go, timing things out as it continues to move on off to the north and east. It looks like if we take the center line here of this, it's going to go between places like Gilmer and Pittsburgh, but look down the line, Dangerfield over towards Lone Star. You guys are in the center of the path of this storm. So again, these tornadoes have been capable of staying on the ground for an extended period of time. So we're going to continue to, of course, monitor this over the coming minutes as this is a rapidly evolving situation. We still have that potential for seeing some debris there on the debris detector. Still looking at that here just to the west of the Shady Grove area, and we're going to continue to follow this off to the north and east as it moves towards communities between Pittsburgh and Gilmer in eastern Wood County, and then eventually moving over into portions of western Upshur County. Carson?
Okay, so Braden, we are at 4:45 on the clock right now. That means there are a lot of people probably going home from work on this Friday afternoon. And I know we've got a lot of listeners on KTBB in Upshur County and central Wood County. So I do want to reference some of the roads. This tornado is just to the southwest of the road Highway 154. Let me go ahead and zoom in on where this potential tornado is, and let me go ahead and switch off the hand tracker real quick and we will show you what is happening. But there we go. So State Highway 154, Farm to Market Road 49, that is going to be in Upshur County. No driving along Farm to Market Road 49, no driving along State Highway 154 with this potential tornado that is heading in that direction. Looks like we've got all our systems up and going, so good news there. But this storm, it is now on the Upshur-Wood County line. It's going to be between Shady Grove and Roansboro. I'll circle it for you. Very close to Highway 154, very close to Farm to Market Road 49, and moving up to the north and to the northeast. I think it misses Gilmer off to the west, but it's going to track very close to Pittsburgh. Eventually, it's going to cross Highway 259, which goes from Gilmer to Pittsburgh. So as Braden was talking about, we do have that debris signature, which is an indication that we do have objects that are larger than raindrops, larger than hailstones that are being lofted in the atmosphere. So what we are probably seeing here is dirt, some limbs, maybe some trees being lofted in the atmosphere near the Shady Grove vicinity. Now, the debris signature may not be quite as impressive as it once was, but the rotation certainly is. You can see on the storm relative velocity, we've got it right there, very close to the Roansboro vicinity. And this is probably the tightest couplet we have seen so far. And this is a very dangerous storm. So if you live in this polygon, I'll zoom that out. In the polygon itself, again, that is the uncertainty of the storm. So in the polygon on the map, it could move to the north, it could move to the east, and any one of these communities in that flashing polygon could get hit by a tornado. This does include Pittsburgh, the county seat in Camp County, Crossroads, Bethlehem, Gilmer, Kelsey, Latch, Perryville. Again, it's now probably about a mile or two south of State Highway 154. It is to the east of Mineola, well to the east of Mineola. It is now to the northeast of Big Sandy and Hawkins. And again, very tight couplet of rotation. This is likely producing a strong, long track tornado at this time. Let's go ahead and put the cone of uncertainty on there. I am concerned mainly about Pittsburgh, Texas right now. If this were to hold together that long, the warning itself goes until 5:30, and it's moving quickly off to the north and to the northeast. So we will draw this out, and immediately downstream, this is not going to include the large communities in Upshur and Camp County, but immediately downstream, Roansboro 450, that is 2 minutes away from right now. Rosewood 451, Kelsey 453, Grice 454, Souls Chapel 457, Simpsonville 5 o'clock, Thomas 5 o'clock, Delrose 501, Union Hill 501. Again, very intense rotation. We do see these sometimes, but you don't see these quite as bright. So there's State Highway 154, as I mentioned before. No driving along State Highway 154 to the west of Gilmer, because we do have a tornado that's about to cross the highway there. So there's the latest scan. We'll zoom this out. Still a tight rotation, maybe not quite as strong as it was a scan ago, but still a very dangerous situation as this is moving up to the north and to the northeast. And what you are seeing in Gilmer right now is very, very heavy rain to the west of the city, and then along Highway 259, you're looking at what is likely a very eerie storm off to the west. Go ahead, John.
A confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located over Rosewood, about 10 miles west of Gilmer, and that is moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. This is a particularly dangerous situation, so take cover now. Again, this is over Rosewood, about 10 miles to the west of Gilmer, described as a very large and confirmed and extremely dangerous tornado. So you need to take cover now if you are in that vicinity.
Yep, so you've got to seek shelter right now. As Braden has been saying, typically most of the injuries that come from tornadoes is from falling objects to the head. So what you're going to want to do if you live in this polygon, this does include Pittsburgh, Texas, and anywhere to the north of Gilmer, Bethlehem included, Delrose, you're going to want to put a helmet on. You are going to want to seek shelter on the first floor in an interior bathroom. If you have a basement, that's great. Most of you don't have a basement, but as I mentioned before, an interior bathroom, an interior pantry, maybe an interior closet if you have one, but no windows, no exterior walls. This is a dangerous situation. Grab that helmet. If you're a bicycle rider, a motorcycle rider, a horseback rider, just to protect your head, just in case this is still doing damage, which the National Weather Service does confirm that this is a large and extremely dangerous tornado. The storm spotters are on this, and we do have video on this as well. It's not just radar confirmed. People have seen this on the ground. So this is the storm that is the most dangerous in the area. We're not really picking it up on our debris detector. There's not a ton in western Upshur County, but nonetheless, I fully suspect that something is down right now just based on what we have on the radar presentation. But again, we can give you the all clear in Quitman. We can give you the all clear in Hawkins for right now, but near Rosewood and Ronesboro, that's where this potential tornado is at the current time. Go ahead and pull radar back up. Lots of lightning, but the best view of this storm is looking from the Shreveport radar site into western Upshur County. It's going to cross Highway 154 at any moment in time, and there it is. So to the east of the Upshur-Wood County line now, be seeking shelter. Be seeking shelter if you live in the community of Pittsburgh, because this is a particularly dangerous situation as this thing continues to push up to the north and to the northeast. And there you go. On our Barron software that we use, here's where it's projecting the storm is going to go. So that's going to be very close to Pittsburgh if it continues on its path. So you've got some runway in Pittsburgh right now. I want you seeking shelter at the current time. It doesn't mean this tornado is going to remain on the ground for that long, but it is a possibility that it remains on the ground for that long. So Camp County, I would say all of Camp County, Leesburg, Pittsburgh, Crossroads, Center Point, be seeking shelter. If you live along Bob Sandlin or Cypress Springs, seek shelter if you're watching our coverage of this storm, because this is a very dangerous situation. Again, the markers taking it more on the northern half of this polygon. I think it's going to miss Gilmer to the west, just based on the trajectory and the storm motion that we have seen today. But once again, this is something we are going to be monitoring minute by minute as it pushes up into northern Upshur County and Pittsburgh. But as we mentioned to our radio viewers, no driving westbound along Highway 154, no driving from Pittsburgh to Gilmer or Gilmer to Pittsburgh along Highway 259 as this storm continues to push off to the north and to the northeast. But it's to the west of Gilmer, and it's pushing up to the northeast in the direction of Pittsburgh, Texas. So again, seek shelter if you're in the flashing polygon, and this includes places like Lone Star 2, just to the north of Lake of the Pines and along Highway 155. So no driving along Highway 155. You may not necessarily encounter a tornado, but you are going to encounter some very heavy rainfall and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning with this storm. We're going to go ahead and put another storm track. I'm going to do a couple of things with this just to show you when and where this is going to be, but this is moving into a very storm-rich environment, very unstable, very moisture-rich with a lot of wind energy, so this is probably not going to weaken very much as it pushes up to the north and to the northeast. So there are your arrival times immediately in front of this storm, all within the next 11 minutes. Union Hill, that's 501, Bethlehem 502, Delrose 502, Simpsonville 502, Thomas 502, Betty 502, Brumley 504, Mittenberg 506. A lot of those are intersections, some of those are churches, some of those are unincorporated communities in northern Upshur County. But now what I am going to do is we're going to show you some of the larger cities in that cone of uncertainty. Let me just bear with me for just a second, and there we go. So it is 4:55 right now. We've got about 20 minutes in Pittsburgh. If it moves further off to the north there, UT Health Pittsburgh, that's going to be 5:19. More eastward track in Lone Star is going to be 5:26. Dangerfield in Morris County, 5:30. Mount Pleasant, 5:30. Omaha along Highway 259, that's going to be 5:39. And then Naples, that's going to be 5:46. So again, Pittsburgh, which is what we're going to focus on here over the next few minutes, the arrival time is about 20 minutes away from right now. So very dangerous situation. The National Weather Service, these are their words, not my words, a particularly dangerous situation. And you can see right there, the arrival times say so within the next 20 minutes. And the rotation that we have on radar is by far the most intense rotation that we have seen so far today. So this is going to be one where we're going to have to continue to update minute by minute. Do we have any photos of that storm, John, from the National Weather Service chat? I know we had video on it a little earlier today.
We do have a photo here taken from Smith County looking at the storm as it was crossing into Upshur County. The latest word we have is strong circulation and a potential tornado currently crossing 154 west of Gilmer. So Highway 154 is where the tornado is west of Gilmer at this point.
All right, so west of Gilmer. All right, so we'll go ahead and update this real quick. If we can, you know what, Braden, go ahead and talk about this storm just a little bit, and we're going to fix the hand tracker. But as John said, State Highway 154 to the west of Gilmer, heading up towards northern Upshur County and heading up into Camp County eventually. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. So a very strong circulation here, as you can see behind me. Regardless of a tornado, there's going to be some very intense winds with this. The potential is certainly there for some damage to trees, power lines, even without a tornado. So the debris signature has gone away temporarily, but look at how bright these colors are here. This could be winds in excess of 70 miles per hour that is moving to the Midway community here north of the city of Gilmer. So if you live along 271 north of Gilmer, near Betty, Bethlehem, some of those smaller communities located right there, you really want to be taking shelter now, because it's not often that you get these kinds of signatures here on the radar. So these are the type of signatures that are usually indicative of, if not a tornado, then some very intense winds. And we're going to continue to track this off to the north and east. And again, that currently right now, that radar signature as far as the debris goes is not currently super strong, but there's still a little bit of an indication of some debris there. So we'll continue to monitor that and see if we get any more dropouts in the correlation coefficient. But for now, it looks like the debris is at least not as intense as what we were seeing earlier. And that reflectivity imagery, this is where the most intense part of the storm is. And something interesting to note here is you can really see the inflow feeding into this storm here with this little notch right here. That's where all those winds are kind of feeding into the storm. So as the storm is moving to the northeast, it's pulling in all of that warm, untapped air out ahead of it. So in Gilmer, you're probably feeling some pretty intense inflow winds right now that are really feeding this storm. And then checking out, of course, that velocity imagery. Very intense circulation here that is again going to move towards the Midway community here north of the city of Gilmer in Upshur County. So near the Rosewood community right now, it's on top of you in Rosewood. You should be in your safe place now. And then also over towards Betty and Bethlehem. If you are familiar with those small communities, you are next in line here within the next 2 to 3 minutes. You need to be in your safe place immediately. And then also the Midway community there along 271 north of Gilmer, and then eventually areas farther off to the north and east into more rural sections of Upshur County there in the northeastern part of the county. But for now, by far the most intense part of this storm is located there just to the west of Gilmer. And it does look like we got a report of some damage 3 miles north of Hopkins. Some trees were uprooted, and there's been some damage to structures approximately 4 miles north of the city of Hopkins. So that is where we were seeing that debris signature earlier. So there has been some confirmed damage with this. So that does line up to where we were seeing that dropout in the correlation coefficient. And so what, of course, we continue to see is maybe not that debris signature, but still a very strong indication that we do have some very intense winds at the very least, obviously rotating. The winds here are moving away from the radar. These winds are moving towards the Shreveport radar. And so what that means is it is spinning in a counterclockwise fashion. So the velocity isn't as tight as it was maybe 10 minutes ago, but still the wind values are still very, very high. So still obviously a lot of rotation that we're monitoring here, and we're going to continue to track this as it moves off to the northeast. Again, 271, if you're traveling along Highway 271, get in a sturdy shelter at this time, because this is going to cross the road here within the next 3 minutes or so near the Midway community. Here's the latest scan. Still looking a little broad, but of course this could drop at any time. We've seen these really wrap up rather quickly. So as we check out that correlation coefficient, still not seeing that really strong indication that we were seeing near the Hawkins area about 15 minutes ago, but there could be a dropout at any point in time. So we're going to continue, of course, to monitor that. And then, of course, all this very heavy rain that we're seeing here. Lots of lightning. Let me put the lightning on here so you guys can see just how much lightning is associated with this storm. Look at all these lightning strikes, even well ahead of the storm. You're getting lots in the way of lightning here. So this continues to be a confirmed tornado warning here for portions of Upshur County. This is in Upshur County, and it's going to be crossing Highway 271 here before too much longer. So if you are traveling along 271, you know anybody that lives in Gilmer, north of Gilmer, near the Midway community, you're going to want to call them, let them know that this is heading in their direction. And regardless of a tornado, there's going to be some very intense winds with this, as we've noted here on the velocity picture. Very hot signature, as we call it, meaning the colors are very bright. and which means there is lots of very strong winds here on both sides of the circulation. So Gilmer, even though you're likely not going to get hit with the worst of this storm, what we call the rear flank downdraft on the back end of that storm is going to be responsible likely for some damaging winds, at least on the northern end of the city of Gilmer. So once that moves through the city, things are going to get pretty rough there, especially north of Gilmer near the community of Midway there along US 271 near those communities of Betty, near Midway, and Bethlehem. So again, tornado warning remains in effect for Upshur County. This is a confirmed tornado warning, and I'll read you the latest details here from the National Weather Service. This is from the National Weather Service in Shreveport. A tornado warning remains in effect until 5:30 p.m. for western Marion, east central Wood County, Upshur County, and southern Morris counties, and also southeastern portions of Titus and Camp County. So there's a lot of counties involved here in this warning. But as far as the threat goes for Wood County, it appears that the threat has moved farther on off to the east, so farther into Upshur County. So I'm sure the portion of the warning down there into Wood County is going to be allowed to expire here before too much longer. Regardless, if you live along US 271, you're running out of time here. Again, we're not really seeing the clear indication of a tornado with that really tight velocity signature, but still lots of very strong winds here and lots of lightning, and we are going to continue to monitor this, as well as the storms that are moving into portions of Tyler at this time. So John, if you could move that radar picture down just a little bit down there into the storms that are moving into the Tyler area. They are sub-severe for now, but they've got a lot of lightning and even some low-level rotation. So we're going to watch these very carefully as they move into portions of Smith County. They are starting to get a little bit of a rotational look to them. So that is what we're currently seeing there in the Tyler area. If you see here near noonday, Chandler, you're getting some very heavy rain. And then also this cell down here, this cell in particular, I'm kind of concerned about. So if we could focus on that one in particular, it kind of has that look to it that we were seeing here. So we will monitor both of these in the coming hours, and we'll put on that velocity. And you can see there is some rotation with this storm down here to the south. So that is an indication that this storm is strengthening, and this is going to be a storm that's going to affect areas near Tyler and to the south of Tyler. So if you live in places like White House, Bullard, over towards Chapel Hill, and then eventually into places farther off to the east, you're going to want to monitor that very carefully, because these storms are quickly strengthening. And we will continue, of course, to see how they pulse up and down, because it happens very quickly, as we've noted several times. We've had many indications of tornadoes today, but none of them have really stuck around for too long. So things have been happening very quickly over and over again today. So if we could go back to that storm up there in the vicinity of Gilmer, the one that is currently producing that confirmed tornado warning. There we go, right there, now located right along US 271 on the north side of Gilmer. So regardless of a tornado, you're getting some very heavy rain, lots of lightning in the city of Gilmer. This is in central Upshur County. This is where this is located right now, over the communities of Betty, Bethlehem, and Midway. So anywhere in those locations, you're really going to want to take this very seriously, as there's a lot of trees in East Texas. So even if you don't have a tornado, winds is all it really takes to cause some damage, as we've got lots of really large, tall trees. So even if there's not a tornado, you still want to take shelter, but make sure you're getting into a part of your home that you know doesn't have these large trees around it. So if these trees were to fall, they wouldn't injure you, because that is unfortunately what we see time and time again here in East Texas, is those trees falling on people's homes during severe storms. So you don't necessarily have to have a really strong tornado for us to have some serious damage, as we very well know that trees can cause a lot of damage to infrastructure here across East Texas. So we will check out that velocity, and again, it does show that the circulation is safely north of Gilmer. So as far as any tornado moving into the city of Gilmer, we're not really worried about that. What we're worried about is areas along US 271 here near the community of Betty. That's going to be near Bluebonnet Road, Farm to Market Road 2454, and Bear Road. You're getting likely what is the worst of it right now, and no indications, as we can see, of any debris. So that's some good news. We don't see any dropouts in the correlation coefficient, meaning that we don't necessarily have a debris signature, but there is that very strong rotational signature that is enough to warrant the issuance of this tornado warning, which is why it is in effect. So if you know anybody that lives in these areas and areas farther off to the northeast, so say over towards the Holly Springs community and eventually up towards the Dangerfield area, you want to be giving them a call. Let them know this is what's coming their direction, and we'll keep checking the chat here to see what all is happening. There is still that indication of a tornado, but as far as the latest information goes, it does appear that as for now, the storm that we're seeing has not had a confirmation of a tornado here for the past couple of minutes. So that's at least some good news with regards to this particular storm. So no tornado likely on the ground at this time, but still a tornado warning is in effect. You want to take that very seriously because of the signature that you see behind me. It's not going to take much for this to wrap up quickly once again. So as we look at, of course, the reflectivity, lots of heavy rain, and you see some of these purples up here up towards the Pittsburgh area, Crossroads. That means we could be seeing some large hail, potentially over the size of quarters, maybe up to the size of $50, and that's going to be right there along US 271 over towards Simpsonville Road, Kent Road. You could likely be seeing some of that hail, and also, what is that, Farm to Market Road 2454. This is a busy time of day, so as you are getting off of work on a Friday evening, really busy out there. This is a kind of the rush hour time, so no travel right now along US 271. Just kind of wait it out, give yourself a little bit of extra time, because this is really not good conditions to drive in. Visibility is going to be very low there between Gilmer and Pittsburgh if you're traveling there along the highway near the Midway community up into the city of Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh doesn't have to worry about any tornado right now. That's going to be south of the community, but regardless, things are definitely pretty active in terms of all this lightning, very heavy rain, large hail even indicated here on the radar. So check out all these lightning strikes that we're seeing. Really just lighting up the radar with lightning strikes here. So pretty dangerous, severe storms moving into portions of Upshur and Camp counties. And John, if we could just kind of maybe take a wide view of the radar to see what's going on right now, kind of give people an idea of what else is coming down the line. And you can see there that we do still have some very heavy rain falling in areas like northern Smith County up into the Lindale area, and then also down there near Lake Palestine towards Frankston and Berryville. So we'll zoom in on that cell down there near the Jacksonville, Berryville, Frankston area. That cell continues to show signs of some weak rotation, but for now, really not seeing a super impressive signature, but that's not to say it couldn't tighten up here in the next few minutes. So here's a look at what we're seeing. Definitely an indication of at least some rotation here with that storm. So we'll continue to monitor that as it moves farther on off to the northeast. And when that happens, it's going to move in the general direction of Bullard, White House, Chapel Hill. All of those cities could be involved in that as we move forward over the next several minutes. So for now, it's below severe limits. Nothing to worry about as far as any severe weather with that particular storm, but that could change very rapidly as we move forward over the next several minutes. And there is also that severe storm up there in Upshur County that we've been talking about. Looks like the tornado may have lifted for now, but that is certainly not to say one couldn't touch back down, and I believe Carson has more information on that.
Yeah, it is certainly possible. I've been saying 259. It was Highway 271 that it was crossing, so my apologies for that. But from Pittsburgh to Gilmer, that's where the worst of this storm is going to be, along Highway 271. So no driving along 271 from Pittsburgh to Gilmer. And as we look at the storm relative velocity, as Braden has been noting, it has broadened out just a little bit. We're not seeing the real bright greens and reds that we were seeing. And if we put this in motion, I'll show you what we were seeing in the western half of the county as opposed to what we are seeing right now. And it has weakened just a little bit, but this is still a very dangerous storm. It is moving up to the northeast. It will cross into Camp County briefly before crossing into Morris County. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Now, we do have damage reported in Vanzant County. One of our photographers is out there taking pictures of what has occurred. So we are going to take a look at that. So now I'm going to send it over to KETK anchors Casey Koviak and Isaac Ramirez.
Yeah, Carson, Braden, thank you very much. And John Adams, you guys are all just working tirelessly over there to keep everyone safe, and we do appreciate that. We're starting to get in some damage reports across East Texas so far. We do have a KETK crew out there in Vanzant County. As you can see, it is a home definitely heavily damaged by a storm out there. Isaac has more about the location of exactly where this is.
So we're hearing this is in the area of Farm to Market 1255 and 110. That's in Vanzant County, southeast of Grand Saline and east of Canton. As you can see, a house with definite storm damage right there. This area was under a tornado warning earlier this afternoon, but again, severe weather going through Vanzant County, causing some damage in that house. Again, that's the area of FM 1255 and Highway 110, southeast of Grand Saline in Vanzant County.
Yeah, in this storm, it's the same one that Braden was tracking just a few minutes ago up there that's gone into the Gilmer area as well. So very powerful, regardless of whether a tornado touches down or not. The rotation there is clearly evident as far as the damage that we are seeing as we track this storm.
Yes, and we are keeping an eye on other storms that have the potential of rotating. So we're going to send it back to Braden with the latest.
Yeah, definitely looking at this potential for more in the way of tornadic activity. We still have that tornado warning there just to the north and west of Gilmer. That's where we're seeing that highest threat for a tornado currently. Still no indication that we're having any debris there on the radar. And John, if we could zoom in and just a little bit closer to that and kind of see where it's at in relation to some of these locations right now. So there we go. It is located, the most intense part of the storm is going to be located there between Gilmer and Pittsburgh, and we will throw on the velocity imagery here. There we go. So Lone Pine, Concord, if you recognize any of those small communities, that's where we're seeing the best indication that we have some rotation here. Definitely going to be a rotating storm. You're going to get a lot of wind. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a tornado. There very well could be, but it's not as likely as what we were seeing earlier where we had a clear debris signature. So this is now well to the north and east of Gilmer. That's going to be moving off to the northeast, continuing eventually over towards Dangerfield, Lone Star, and Hughes Springs. And I'll send it over to Chief Meteorologist Carson Vickroy, who's going to give us more on the path of this storm. Carson?
Yes, Braden, thank you for all the coverage that you've been giving us. Very informative, very, very good. We do have a report from the Upshur County Sheriff's Office, and unfortunately, we've had some damage reported in the town of Betty. Several trees down and some power lines down as well, which has prompted some power outages. But it's a complex of storms, you know, really along into the north of Highway 79. That is where we are seeing most of this activity. This is carrying the threat of all modes of severe weather. Obviously, we have that tornado threat between Pittsburgh and Gilmer, which has now moved to the east of Highway 271, as Braden has been alluding to. But we also have a couple of storms that are trying to move into the Tyler vicinity, and these aren't severe yet, but we are watching for any signs of rotation near the Bullard vicinity and to the west of White House and Chapel Hill. So we'll keep an eye on these, but really nothing that indicates anything major at this point. So we'll continue to monitor that, but as we look at the storm relative velocity, there is a little bit of broad rotation within that storm to the southwest of Bullard, heading up towards the Bullard area, and then going off to the north and to the northeast. But the most intense storm and the storm that is warned right now is right along the Camp Upshur County line. Luckily, it looks like it is going to miss Pittsburgh to the south and to the southeast. This storm does have a history of producing tornadoes, even large tornadoes at times, but further off to the southwest near the community of Betty, that is where we did see some damage reported. So definitely a storm that is very dangerous and a storm that will likely be worn downstream as we continue to track it off to the north and to the northeast. Braden was talking about some of the communities that are in the path of this storm, so we will do another storm track on this thing. We'll track it to the northeast there. And here we go. So Lone Star 532, Cason 533, and Cason was the community hit by that EF3 tornado on November 4th, 2022. Dangerfield 536 and then 537 for Layman. But again, if you're in the path of this storm, I would seek shelter, even if you're not under a warning either, because this is one of those storms that has been cycling. It looked fairly intense as it was to the west of Lindale, and then it weakened as it moved over Lindale, and then it re-intensified over Hopkins and did produce that tornado just to the northeast of Hopkins. And it looks like it has spun itself out for now, but it could certainly reform. That's just the case with these storms today. It is just a complete cycle of storms where they weaken, they strengthen, they weaken again, and then they strengthen again. But this is still a very intense storm either way you slice it here. And it's not only this storm in northern Upshur and southern Camp County. We've got storms further to the southwest that are fairly intense as well. We haven't seen a lot in the community of Tyler today yet, but all around Smith County, we have some very heavy rain that is taking shape, and we don't really have any signs of hail in the greater Tyler community, but lots of rain around Tyler High School, the Tyler Pounds Airport, and pointing off to the west towards Lake Palestine. But I would say the most dangerous storm in the vicinity of Smith County right now is this storm in northern Cherokee and southern Smith County, where we may have some low-level rotation that is trying to take shape, but right now it just has not come to fruition. So we'll look at the storm relative velocity, and again, yeah, I mean, it's very, very broad. This is pretty high up in the atmosphere, but we will have to wait and see if this does become surface-based before any type of warning would be issued for something like that. But just be on the lookout if you live in White House, Chapel Hill, or on the south side of Tyler, just in case this does turn into something here in the future. All right, looks like we've got some reports of flooding in Lindale, and we've got some photos showing that right now. And woof, that is a pretty rough scene right there with a lot of that street flooding occurring in the community. And this looks to be from downtown Lindale. Obviously, they saw lots of heavy rain. They were under a tornado warning for a while. But the issue we are having with this storm, and the reason why we are seeing a lot of that flash flooding, is because we have seen these very heavy rain-producing supercell thunderstorms move over the same location. It's just been one after another after another, and we came on we broke into your coverage at about 2:30 this afternoon, and it's been less than 3 hours. So we've seen a lot of rain in a short amount of time. So that's why you are seeing the flooding that we are seeing. And again, that photo was from Lindale. So we've got more than 4,000 people in Wood County without electricity from potential tornado damage and potential wind damage. And these storms have been very intense as they move further off to the north and to the northeast. But again, the most intense storm, as we have mentioned before, is moving through extreme northeastern Upshur County, now to the east of Highway 271, to the northwest of Highway 155 and to the west of Highway 259 there. So we are now between 271 and 259, and this is heading up into western Morris County in the direction of Dangerfield. So stay on alert if you are watching us from Dangerfield. I do know we have viewers in Dangerfield, so we will have to keep a close eye on this storm. But back to radar. As we have mentioned before, we've got lots of heavy rain moving through the area. These have produced some tornadoes. These have produced some heavy rain, even some pocket change hail at times. And these storms, they're going to bear watching at least over the next couple of hours. So we will be doing that until all warnings are cleared in the area. If you're watching us from Tyler, we've got some very heavy rain on the west side of the city, not so much on the east side of the city. And it's just a complex of storms that is misbehaving quite a bit as it moves off to the east. Let me go ahead and pause this and we'll show you where we might be seeing a little bit of a bowing segment. And this is a sign that we've got some very gusty winds on the leading edge of this storm. So you see that little bulge from Holly Springs through Coffeyville and through Valley View. As this continues to push up to the northeast, this could produce quite a bit of wind damage and possibly even more power.
50 mile per hour, perhaps.
Yes, so maybe up to 50 mile per hour. That's what meteorologist John Adams just had to say. On the leading edge of this storm. So this is going to hit Highway 259 here fairly quickly. There's Diana, Old Diana, Ore City, Cedar Springs, and Lone Star in the path of this storm. So we'd also have that wind threat that is coming to fruition as well, along with the tornado threat. Well, once again, folks, we'll go ahead and check out our power outages. We haven't updated you on that here in a while. And quite a few customers without power. As our producer said a little earlier, 4,000 customers without power in Wood County. Smith County, that is up to 1,000 customers without power. 600 in Vanzant County. Upshur, about 200 customers without power. And then Hopkins, up to 100 customers without power. So we do have a few thousand customers without power. Not the worst that we have seen here in East Texas, thankfully, but still, for the folks that are in the dark, this is not good news because this is happening on a Friday. So it could be a fairly rough Friday night for folks that have lost power in those communities. But we'll go ahead and get you back to radar. And if we have any more photos, please let me know. But one warning in the region that does expire at 5:30. So we'll see what they want to do with this at 5:30, if they want to extend this downstream, or maybe they'll cancel this warning if they don't think there's any noteworthy rotation in the storm. But we are keeping a very close eye on this thing as it pushes off to the east and to the northeast. So as we look at other products here, some of our severe weather threats, we obviously do have, a lot of wind on the leading edge of that storm, and this is going to move very close to Lake of the Pines. There's Coffeyville, there's Cedar Springs, this is Highway 155. You pass the intersection of 259 and 155, and then you're at a marina that was actually hit by a tornado in 2023, and then a bait shop at that RV resort there. And it's a nice little area, but unfortunately we do have some very strong winds that are heading in that direction. And you can see some of these reds in here showing maybe up to 60 mile per hour winds, radar indicated, and then maybe up to pea-sized hail as well. Let's go ahead and look at the leading edge of this storm. And again, this lightning is very, very intense. We've had lots of lightning in these storms, and as we query this severe weather threat up, yeah, we could be seeing some gusts, upwards of 60, 70, maybe up to 80 miles per hour in the most intense part of this storm. So we're keeping a close eye on that. But as far as rotation goes, I'm not seeing a lot of that right now. We were certainly seeing that a little bit earlier. I mean, we do have some parts of the green getting real hot or real bright there, but we haven't seen anything in a while. This looks very, very broad to me. So we're not really seeing anything that spells tornado. We were just a little while ago. There was no doubt about that. And we did have confirmation of a tornado that was in southwestern Upshur County. But I mean, you can see that as this thing tracked through, it had a real strong rotation signature very close to Roansboro. It moved across 154 and then 271. But like these storms have done today, it did weaken quite a bit. But this is going to move up into Morris County, and who knows what it's going to do after that. Morris, Cass County, we will still have to watch out for the possibility of additional tornadoes forming or additional other modes of severe weather wrapping up as well. So lots of activity that we have seen on the radar, and just look at this. Look at this now. We'll pause this. Certainly quite a bit on the leading edge of that storm there between Coffeyville and Cedar Springs. That is a very favorable wind signature. I'm not sure if it's producing a tornado at the current time, but I would guess if they weren't going to issue a tornado warning, they would issue a severe thunderstorm warning, but definitely a bit of bowing on the front half of that storm. And what we mean by that is it is standing out from the storm itself. So that little bulge right there from about Stamps through Snow Hill, Ore City, Cedar Springs, Holly Springs to the west of Highway 259, crossing the highway and then crossing Lake of the Pines. And where this is going to impact next is going to be Avenger in Cass County. That's going to be in southwestern Cass County. And then it's going to move over towards Jefferson and Linden. That probably happens within the next hour or so. So we will be monitoring this through then, but we're getting very close to the 5:30 time frame where they will either decide to cancel this warning or extend it to be extended. Yes. Okay, so it's still a tornado warned storm, and it looks like they're calling this radar confirmed, are they?
Yes, actually, they are saying a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado. The warning goes until 6:30 p.m. So they're saying areas involved for this. This is actually going to be northeastern Upshur County. This is going to be for portions of Morris County, southeastern Titus County, eastern Camp County, southeastern Red River County, and northwestern Cass County, as well as southwestern Bowie County. So it's kind of in that area there where we have a lot of counties intersecting with each other, but that is for this storm that's moving into the Lone Star area. They're saying large and extremely dangerous tornado confirmed there. So that's going to be moving right there into the city of Lone Star.
All right, so this has been extended downstream. So what they may be alluding to is this little CC drop right here just to the east of Lone Star. So this could very well have hit something, and there's a marina at Lake Lone Star that you often pass if you're going along Highway 259 there up into Dangerfield. But what they are concerned with right now is this general region right there. It does look a little bit broad to be a debris signature, but that's what we are going to assume right now because that rotation is very close to Lone Star. So what you're seeing is another drop in our correlation coefficient. That means the objects that the radar is seeing are not correlating with one another. So that means there's debris being lofted in the air, and that's possibly from a tornado. So Lone Star is right there on your screen. Hugh Springs is very close to Lone Star, and it would appear that this area of rotation, which is a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado, is going to move very close to Lone Star within the next couple of minutes, and then about 5 minutes after that, probably moving into the Hugh Springs area. So let's go ahead. We're going to put a storm track on this. This is now moving into Morris County, and from there, it is going to move into probably Red River and Bowie County after that. So we're going to track this up to the northeast, and here are some of the locations that could be affected. So Lone Star, the arrival time of this potential large and extremely dangerous tornado is going to be 5:35, 5:38 for Jenkins. Love is 5:43, Dangerfield's 5:43, Hugh Springs 5:44, Crossroads Community Centauri 5:52, Rocky Branch 5:52, and then 5:53 for the community of Midway. Again, potential tornado is moving into Lone Star as we speak. That's close to a refinery. There's also Lone Star Lake where they have a lot of bass tournaments there, and that's just going to be to the north of Lake of the Pines as well. So Still a dangerous storm. This is the one tornado warning that we have in our area. I just want to say that this tornado warning goes until 6:30 this evening. It does include Cass, Upshur, Marion, Morris, Camp, and Titus County there, and that continues to move up to the north and to the northeast. So again, what we like to look for the potential of confirmed tornadoes is this little CC drop right there, which it looks like we are seeing a little bit right now. And again, that's in Lone Star or just to the east. So it is possible that Lone Star has taken a direct hit from this. So we'll hope that's not the case, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that unfortunately that has happened. But if you live in Hughes Springs, you need to be seeking shelter immediately. You want to be getting into an interior pantry, bathroom, just away from those exterior windows and walls. Put on a helmet if you can, closed-toed shoes if you have time. You're not going to have a lot of time with this storm, but this is a dangerous situation as this thing continues to intensify and move up to the north and to the northeast. It's going to affect most of western Cass County and perhaps, a little bit of western Marion County there as well. But again, Avenger is out of the polygon, Dangerfield, Naples, both in the polygon. So we will have to keep a close eye on this as it moves up to the north and to the northeast. Based on the reflectivity, there you go. But there's the rear flank of this storm here. So if a tornado has formed, it's going to be close to Lone Star or just to the east of the city there. And that is a very tall tale sign that we do have very intense rotation within that storm. So we're going to monitor this over the next few minutes to see if there are any changes. And again, I think this is going to track on the eastern side of the polygon. It could possibly track a little further off to the northeast, but I do not see this not hitting Hughes Springs if there is a tornado down. So if you live in Hughes Springs, Midway, Cornett, Marietta, Bryan's Mill, Douglasville, Gum Springs, Elmira, Sardis, Love, make sure you are seeking shelter. Dangerfield, seek shelter. You are in the messy part of this storm, which means you're seeing a bit of large hail, so you're going to want to hunker down with this storm as well, and you are very close to where that tornado is. But Lone Star is right there on the leading edge of this potential tornado. Hughes Springs, you're not that far away. As a matter of fact, we will measure you from where you are in Hughes Springs. From this potential tornado, it's less than 4 miles. That probably gives you about 5, maybe 6 minutes before this tornado arrives in your region. It is very close to the Morris-Cass County line. So we are monitoring this very carefully. So you have a little bit of time if you live in Hughes Springs to get under shelter. But as the National Weather Service was articulating, it looks like we do have that large and extremely dangerous tornado, which is very close to the city there. We did have a CC drop, which means it is probably doing some damage. As we look at the dual polarization, not quite as well defined, but still, still some evidence of that CC drop to the northeast of Lone Star, heading into Hughes Springs as we speak. And we'll go ahead, we'll zoom in, and we'll show you where the rotation is. We'll read off some of the street names. So there is Main Street in Lone Star, Industrial Boulevard. A little further off to the north, Farm to Market Road 3421, Farm to Market Road 250. And then Hughes Springs is on the corner of your screen, and it looks like it's going to move directly over Hughes Springs, either very strong winds or a possible tornado. Any other notes from the National Weather Service, guys?
They said it does appear that the circulation there in the Lone Star area is kind of relocating to the west-southwest of the city. So kind of back to where it was originally, but it's relocated now a little bit farther to the west there near Lone Star. So that could be moving a lot closer to the city than we previously thought, and then that would eventually head up towards the Hughes Springs area as well. And then also with regards to flash flooding in Upshur and portions of of Smith counties and Wood counties, they have now issued a PDS flash flood warning for that. So lots of reports of pretty significant flash flooding, rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. Already 4 to 5 inches of rain have fallen, and an additional up to 2 inches is expected. So lots of really bad flooding issues around portions of Smith, Upshur, and into Wood counties.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we've been mentioning, right? You know, we've had, just kind of a line of storms that has moved very, very slowly off to the east, but the heaviest bands in those storms have been moving over the same location, over the course of 1, 2, maybe even up to 3 hours. And what Braden just mentioned with the rainfall rates, often that can result in 3, 4, 5 inches of rain in a very short amount of time, hence the flash flooding that you were seeing. But as Braden was talking about, you look at the track of this storm, and it's kind of wobbled a little bit, meaning it's kind of changed its track. So it was, directly to the south or southwest of Lone Star, but now you kind of see that circulation just to the west of Lone Star. So we're going to keep an eye on that trend. Again, it's crossed Highway 259 now, and it's moving off to the north and to the northeast near the it's going to be moving either in Hughes Springs, or it's going to move to the west of Hughes Springs in western Cass County. So intense circulation, and when we see these tornadoes form, oftentimes depending on how the storm is behaving, if it's intensifying, if it's weakening, depending on how the upper level winds are steering it, we can often see them change their track, like the National Weather Service is noting this thing is doing. And sometimes they'll move off to the north, they can move directly to the east, or they can move to the northeast. So this is a bit of a pivot. So you're going to want to be on alert if this trend continues in Midwet, Cornett, Marietta, and Bryan's Mill there. So definitely an intense storm, and one that we are monitoring. I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Braden Seo, and he's going to give us a different look on this storm. Braden.
Yeah, absolutely. We continue to monitor this current situation, this rapidly evolving situation that we have here across portions of East Texas. And if you guys in the control room, you can go ahead and take me full, and I'll talk to you guys here about this storm. So here is that confirmed tornado warning that we have. Again, the velocities are showing that we do have, not really sure what happened there. Somehow we ended up in Mississippi, but still, we do have a lot in the way of heavy rainfall here across portions of East Texas. That's going to be up in the Dangerfield area near Lone Star, up towards Naples there. This is that confirmed tornado warning that you have there, the flashing polygon. And so very impressive representation here on the radar that we do have indeed maybe a tornado still on the ground. And where that would be is very close to the city of Lone Star. Also have some very intense inflow winds going into that storm. So that's why you kind of see this little notch here where you have those winds really flowing into the storm, which is right around the vicinity of Lone Star. So very intense storm nonetheless, whether we have a tornado or not. This is going to be moving directly into the Hughes Springs area as we head over about the next minute or two. So if you live in Hughes Springs, you need to be taking shelter right now. Very intense storm. Again, lots of wind energy with this. So regardless of whether we have a tornado or not, you're going to get a lot of very, very heavy rainfall and likely some damaging winds with this storm as well. And that velocity image shows right now the Titus circulation is going to be just to the north of the city of Lone Star. So if we could zoom in to kind of give you some of those streets involved there where that Titus circulation is down there near the Lone Star area. So that is going to be located actually looks like right over the city of Lone Star right now. So if you live in Lone Star, it's pretty much on top of you. We'll go ahead and see if there is a debris signature, and there could be a debris signature here to the north of Lone Star. It does look like we might indeed have just a little bit of a debris dropout. So that is something that we'll continue to monitor. It's a little ambiguous right now, no clear indication, but we certainly could have that as this is moving over the town of Lone Star. But regardless, some very, very heavy rainfall, lots of very strong winds in Lone Star as well. And this is going to continue to push off into places like Hughes Springs off to the northeast. So if you live in Hughes Springs, all of this is moving towards you. So again, very impressive signature, and Dangerfield is likely getting some very heavy rain and some hail right now, as you can see those purple colors up that way. And then looking again downstream towards Hughes Springs, the velocity image shows the Titus circulation here near Farm to Market Road 3421. That's going to be there just to the northeast of the Lone Star area, and eventually moving directly into the west side of Hughes Springs. So if you live along County Road 2873, if you live here along Farm Road 161 that goes northward into Hughes Springs, County Road 1591, also Highway 49 that goes from Dangerfield into Hughes Springs. You're going to want to not do any driving on those roadways for now, but if I did call out some of those roads, definitely want to take shelter immediately, because this is a very tight signature that we have here. This has really tightened up here the last couple of frames. So if there is a tornado, it is going to be located there just northeast of Lone Star and moving in that general direction of Hughes Springs. So this unfortunately is going through a little bit of a populated area. There's a lot of people that live in this area between Dangerfield, Lone Star, and Hughes Springs because of the lake that we have there. So a lot of people, there's probably a lot of campgrounds in this area. So definitely unfortunate that we're seeing such a tight circulation in this part of East Texas as of this time. But again, if you live in Hughes Springs, this is going to be knocking on your doorstep here within the next couple of minutes. Not the clearest indication that we have debris, but there is the ever so slightest indication that we could have some. So we want to reiterate again that this is still a confirmed tornado warning that we have here, and that's why we are continuing to treat it as such, even if we're not seeing a debris signature, because the National Weather Service continues to believe that there is a tornado on the ground, and the velocity signature certainly tells a story that there very well could be a tornado on the ground getting ready to move into Hughes Springs. So if you do live here, make sure you're taking your tornado precautions now. Lowest floor, innermost portion of a building, no windows. And if you do have a helmet, make sure you grab it, and some shoes just in case you have to come out to some debris. That's always good to have around in your first aid kit or anything like that if you have one of those, because you never know what you're going to come out to after severe weather. So that is what we're seeing here, getting ready to move into Hughes Springs. A tornado warning is in effect. Here's the latest scan. It continues to move on off to the northeast, so likely the west side of the city of Hughes Springs near Highway 2112, State Highway 49. That's going to be moving in your direction, and then the west side of the city of Hughes Springs. Now, as far as Dangerfield goes with regards to a tornado, this is going to stay just to your east. So it's going to go just east of the city of Dangerfield. The biggest danger is going to be to Hughes Springs rather than to Dangerfield. And Lone Star, we can give you the all clear with regards to the tornado threat. Now you're just getting some very heavy rainfall. As you can see here, lots of very heavy rain that we've been dealing with, even some flooding issues. So if we could zoom out just a little bit and kind of give that full picture to show the viewers just how much rain that we are seeing here. Still very heavy rain here with this storm, and even still back over into places where we've already seen a lot of heavy rain across Upshur County, and then down still into Lindale, Hopkins, Winona. We're seeing just lots and lots of heavy rain. So that's why we do have that very serious flash flood risk across portions of northern Smith County into southern Wood County and also into portions of Upshur County. So Lindale continues to get hit with very heavy rain as of this hour. So unfortunately, it looks like the flooding is going to get worse before it gets better. But as far as tornado warnings go, this is the only game in town right now here And it looks like the most serious part of the circulation is pushing into portions of Cass County. So it looks like Cass County will be next in line for this circulation. And I believe we do have some video from Lindale from earlier when that storm moved through. Yeah, you can see a lot of low clouds there, and you can even hear the sirens. So yeah, very intense storms move through the Lindale areas of Smith County. That's the same storm, in fact, that we are tracking now. That's all the way over into Cass County. So still dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall and some flooding there in the Lindale area because of all the heavy rain that we've seen and that we continue to see. So really just not the best idea to go out on the roadways. I know this is a very busy time of the day, and also some of that flooding that we have been seeing. We've been getting pictures from some of you guys out there. Look at that very serious flooding that we have here in Lindale. Lots of very heavy rainfall. This is located right along the main road. This is Highway 69 there in downtown Lindale. So lots of cars unfortunately look to be submerged in that water, and that looks to be at least 2 feet deep in some places. So we continue to see that very heavy rainfall over towards Lindale, and of course that tornado warning that we have that's now moving into Cass County over towards Sulphur Springs. So the tornado watches continue to be in effect here for all of this part of East Texas, and the one game in town right now is that tornado warning that we have that is moving into the Hughes Springs area over there into Cass County. So things continue to be active here from a flooding and tornado standpoint, and we'll give you more information on this tornado warning right now with Chief Meteorologist Carson Vickroy.
Yes, so we'll throw up another little storm track on this one, and you can see within the next couple of minutes it's going to move past Hughes Springs if it hasn't already. The rotation does not look as intense as it did, and again, this changes frame by frame, so in a couple of frames it could very well look more intense than it does right now. But Hughes Springs 550, Crossroads Community Cemetery 554, Midway 555, Cornett 558, Nickelberry 602, Bethlehem 603, Marietta 603, and Dalton at 604. Elmira 605 as well. So this continues to move into portions of western Cass County, and it's still an intense storm. And as Braden was alluding to, this has produced a lot of rainfall. I mean, just look at the swath of showers and thunderstorms that we have right now. I mean, this is just a thick line of storms that continues to push up to the north and to the northeast. And we're going to have to keep our wits about us on the leading edge of this line just in case we do happen to see any more rotation forming along the line. But you know, with the flooding that has occurred in Lindale, we'll go ahead and put up some of the 24-hour rainfall estimates, which is really just over the last 3-4 hours. And we have seen several inches of rain in some locations. Let's go ahead and query this out. As you can see, near Hopkins, where we did have a tornado strike just to the north of town, about 3.1 inches of rain, and to the west of Crow, about 3.1 inches as well. But you look a little further off to the west, I mean, what you'll see in a lot of these high precipitation supercells, which is what we have on a day like today, is just a big swath of rain going from southwest to northeast because that's where the storm tracked. For example, you can see near Lindale, where we did see all of that flooding, about 3.4 inches of rain fell there in a very short amount of time. Near New Harmony and Mount Sylvan in northwestern Smith County, about 3.2 inches of rain. And then southeastern Wood County, this is also impressive. We'll query that out real quick. And as you can see, about 3 inches or 3.1 inches to the north of Hopkins. Now, we do have some reports that the Hawkins or Ozarka plant, I believe, got hit by a tornado. And this isn't the first time that it has happened. We had some pictures of damage there on the National Weather Service chat session, so we will investigate that. But again, some pictures were taken, and unfortunately that's to the north of Hawkins where we had that reported tornado move through. So definitely keeping a close eye on any reports that we can get, but We have seen all modes of severe weather come to fruition, some hail, some wind, tornadoes, and the flash flooding reports as well. But along the leading edge of the line, we are still in an environment out ahead of this initial line of scattered showers and thunderstorms that will be conducive to all modes of severe weather. So we are not out of the woods yet. We are going to be watching these storms very carefully as they continue to slowly progress off to the east. We are seeing the training of a few showers and thunderstorms in Smith County. I mean, even in Lindale, we are still seeing some very heavy rain that is falling there, but I'm not really seeing anything that screams rotation at us right now. There is a little bit of a hook on this storm to the south of Owentown and to the north of Highway 31. We'll investigate that for just a little bit, and I'm not seeing any rotation in there, but very heavy rain. And this flash flood issue is going to become a problem because we already have reports of flash flooding, and with more rain in the area, we are going to continue to see some very heavy rainfall continue in the region. We haven't talked a lot about Longview, which we don't have any storms in Longview right now, but we're up next in Longview because we do have these scattered showers and thunderstorms off to the west. But these will continue to move from southwest to northeast, bringing very heavy rain with it. But the most dangerous storm by far in the region now is moving up into western and northern Cass County. And eventually this is going to move out of our viewing area into the Shreveport viewing area, which they actually do cover Cass County, and we will be able to let this one go. But these scattered showers and thunderstorms, we will continue to monitor. Again, we're not seeing as tight rotation as what we were, but still definitely warranting some type of warning there, either from strong winds or that potential of a tornado. And again, that is just to the north of Hughes Springs, and it's going to be very close to the Morris and Cass County line. So it is still radar indicated rotation. Doesn't look like we have a radar confirmed or a storm spotter confirmed tornado on the ground, but it looks like the worst of it has moved out of Hughes Springs and is currently moving off to the north. So if a tornado is going to form, it's going to be in a broad area. It's going to be in this region. So we will watch for any reports from there, and we will continue to listen to anything that occurs from either western Cass County or eastern Morris County. So still fairly intense. John, do you have an update?
We do still have the tornado warning that's going for those counties you just mentioned, and I don't have anything updated at this point to add to that, but we continue to, of course, get the heavy rainfall. I did see one to the north of Lindale near the Wood County line of 5 inches there, just to the south of Horde. That's the heaviest that I've seen so far, and of course the rain continues to come down, so that's not helping the flood problems that are going on in that general area. But other than just that the tornado warning continues there in the northeast, I have nothing further on that.
All right, thank you, John. Crossroads Community Center for this storm in Cass County, 5:57 will be the arrival time. Cornett 6:02, Nickelberry 6:05, Bethlehem 6:06, Marietta 6:07, Dalton 6:08, Bryan's Mill 6:13. Again, this is going to miss Linden off to the west if there is a tornado, but we're continuing to monitor that. And, you know, as John was alluding to, we have seen some very, very heavy rain across the area. I mean, this is no joke, folks. Anytime we have rain of this magnitude, we are bound to have flooding, and unfortunately that is what has occurred at this time. We'll go ahead and query up more rainfall amounts, and as you can see, in the Lindale vicinity, we have seen, you know, rain. We've seen probably more rain today than we've seen in the last couple of months combined in Lindale, but we do have reports of 5 inches, so radar and what we have seen estimated by Doppler radar may actually be undercutting those totals a little bit, which does happen from time to time. I mean, we're seeing radar indications about 3.2 and 3.4 inches very close to the Faulkner Park area on the north side of Lindale before you get to the Sabine River. But in the Sabine River bottoms, it looks like we have had tons of rainfall to the north there. So very, very heavy rain has occurred, and as I mentioned before, it's just a swath of heavy rain and several swaths of heavy rain of the supercells that produce tornadoes and other forms of severe weather. And you can see, especially in our western counties, this is where some of the heaviest rain has fallen so far. In addition to that, with the saturated ground we have from the rain, we also have some power outages from some damage that has occurred. We are now up to 6,000 customers without power up at Wood County. Upshur, about 2,500 customers without power, and then 1,000 in Smith. Vanzant, we're only at about 800 customers without power. So we still have several thousand customers without power. We're approaching a number of about 10,000 across East Texas that have been without power, either from straight line wind damage or tornado damage or flash flooding. A lot of different reasons will go into the power outages that we do have. But that's the power outage update. And as we look back at radar, this rain is showing no signs of stopping. So we'll probably see the power outage situation get a little worse before it gets better. But it will eventually get better. We have some great linemen here in East Texas, and they will get the lights back on for you at some point, either later tonight once the storms are past or when the storms pass tomorrow. But what we have been looking for are these storms behind the initial line of storms that move through, and we're still not seeing much in the way of rotation. Sometimes a little bit of broad rotation here and there, but nothing that even comes close to warranting a tornado warning. Go ahead, John.
I can give you a little bit of a break here. You've been talking pretty much consistently and doing a great job. We do have a flash flood warning that continues for Camp County in northeast Texas, southeastern Franklin County, northern Morris County, Titus County, northwestern Upshur, and northeastern Wood County. These are the specific areas that have been warned by the Shreveport National Weather Service office. That flash flood warning will go until 8:45. Doppler radar has indicated thunderstorms that have produced heavy rain across the warned area. Generally between 2 and 4 inches of rain has fallen. Additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible in the warned area, and flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So we've got a lot of heavy rain that is going to come into the area over the next couple of hours and add to these flood problems that are going on. Flash flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, underpasses, you name it, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. Now, some of the areas that will include will experience flash flooding include the Mount Pleasant vicinity, Pittsburgh, Leesburg, Naples, Omaha, Cason, Cookeville, Newsom, Scroggins, U.S. Highway 259, and the I-30 intersection. Winfield, Midway, Miller's Cove, Rocky Mound, Harvard, Reeder, Monticello, Center Point, and Perryville. All of those areas experiencing or will experience or could experience some flash flooding due to the heavy rain that is going on. Just a reminder, turn around, don't drown when you encounter those flooded roads. Most flood deaths do occur in vehicles. So again, we have that flash flood warning ongoing for mainly our northern half of our area due to the rainfall, which could get up to about 6 inches just from what we have had today across the East Texas area. Grounds are saturated, and that flooding can occur pretty quickly. So that's kind of an update on what that's going through here in the East Texas area.
And what John was saying, that 6 inches of rain that could very well fall, we've already had reports of 5 inches of rain to the north of Lindale, hence the flash flooding we've seen in downtown there. But that 6 inches of rain, that is almost the combined total of what we saw in February and March combined. So you can imagine in the locations that have seen 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, the flash flooding is going to be a very real possibility. Any of those low-lying areas, especially on those county roads, maybe farm to market roads, we could see some of those roads wash out. So if you see standing water where you can't see the surface of the roadway, folks, don't chance it. Find a different route or stay home because that is not something you want to mess around with. I know I'm sure we've seen, a few people already lose their vehicles in that Lindale flooding, or at least had their vehicles flooded. And unfortunately, we could see more of that if we do see additional flooding. And just based on what we are seeing on radar, the rainfall rates right now are very, very high. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put radar back up and we'll show you the rainfall rates on what's happening. And you'll notice we do have a lot of these pink rainfall rates. Now, these are rainfall rates per hour. So while we are seeing rainfall rates in excess of, let me put that up there, of 6.5 inches per hour for places to the west of Highway 259, to the west of Ore City more specifically. That's probably not going to last for the entire hour, but a quick 30 minutes of that rainfall rate, you're going to see about 3¼ inch of rain if you do that math. And we have a lot of that in East Texas. So that flash flooding threat is going to become a problem. And we have been talking most of the week with all of these consecutive days of severe weather. The flash flooding could become a real possibility, especially for areas along and to the north of Interstate 20. Now, meteorologist Braden Seo, he's been working for most of the day. It's past his bedtime now, but he is going to talk with us about that flash flooding threat and what has occurred over the last few hours.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen just this continuous, very heavy rainfall, and we've kind of put some of these numbers on here for you. About 5 inches of rain, at least, has fallen in the Lindale area. That's what radar is estimating over that way and into Mineola. That also includes Hawkins, where now in Hawkins, we're dealing with not only flash flooding, but the aftermath of what has been very likely a tornado that moved through there and did in fact impact the Ozarka plant that is located there. I believe the Ozarka Blue Triton manufacturing plant that is there. So they've sustained some pretty significant roof damage from what we've seen in some of those photos. And now the rain continues to fall over that way, about 2.5 inches, even in the north end of Tyler, around 1 inch across most of the rest of the city of Tyler, and then over towards Chandler, you've seen some pretty good rainfall as well. So this whole swath of rain right here is where we have all of those flooding concerns, and we still are seeing some pretty heavy rainfall here across this area. So as we look at the reflectivity, we're still seeing some rain falling here across most of northern Smith County into Tyler, even over into the Winona and Hawkins areas. So rain is going to continue to add up here across most of the area. So all of these storms are moving in a northeasterly direction. We've even gotten more development down farther to the south and west, and we'll continue to see more of that as we go through the next couple of hours. So here we go into the Gilmer area, still more in the way of shower and thunderstorm activity. Again, we've seen rainfall rates approaching 5 inches an hour in some of these storms. So things are adding up very quickly in terms of rainfall. And unfortunately, that has resulted in that pretty significant flooding that we've seen there around the Lindale area with that particularly dangerous situation flash flood warning. So, John, if we could zoom in on that tornado warning that we have, it's allowed to expire in about 25 minutes, I believe. Right now, there's no clear indication that we have any significant severe weather as far as that goes. I do believe that we are somewhere else in terms of the radar right now, but we will get right back to that tornado warning there in northern sections of the area. Not sure where we are here. I think we were over in Arkansas. Okay, here we go. We're back in East Texas now, and we're seeing that tornado warning there to the north of Linden in Cass County. So still a tornado warning in effect there, and that's going to be here for, I believe, the next several minutes. So about 20 more minutes left on that tornado warning, and we'll continue to monitor this as it moves on off to the north and east. So eventually this will likely clip the southern portion portions of Bowie County, and then eventually down the line that could get into Texarkana. So those of you watching, if you are watching us from near that area in Cass County, or if you have loved ones in Texarkana, this is moving in that general direction. So this is a supercell thunderstorm still capable of producing a tornado that is going to be moving in the general direction of Texarkana. So as we look at that velocity picture, it's really broadened out, although there are a couple of little pixels in here that are close together. Nothing really screams tornado at this current time. So we will kind of see the debris signature, and not really much in the way of any debris that we're seeing here across East Texas, but things are still pretty active here across East Texas, and we are going to keep you updated here with the latest that we have in the coming hours.